Okay, we have representative from the Seabees in Richard Holmes, and we have a representative from the MACV team.
Yep.
So not only do we have the camp, but we have the people who were, either at or supporting the camp in different ways.
Did you say Richard Holmes was with the Seabees?
Right, Richard?
Yeah, in 70.
Well, we had the runway rebuilt there, I think, in 1970.
Yeah, we
Was-
were there.
I
Yeah,
That
was, I was there.
Okay, yeah.
I was there for that. You guys were out there twice.
well, we were at Trebon, we went to Giahook, Bateau, and then Cam Duck. So
You
we
had
were
a guy-
excited.
You had a guy with you named Danny Cottrell, Catrell, Danny Cottrell. He lived 4 houses up from me at my little bitty home community in Big Rock, Virginia. And I thought it was just so ironic that somebody from the little bitty podunk place where I lived just showed up there. And here it's a small world when you get right down to it.
Yes,
Robbie retired out of the CBs probably before you guys, but he's a CB too.
Where's Robbie? Wears a lot of hats.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got involved in a lot of, too much, but whatever came my way, I took it on. I don't run from the fight. Like the saying goes, I run to it. And the Seabees, there's a long story, but on my first tour to Nam, I ended up in Quezon, Long Way area. And they were trying to upgrade the runway, getting the old PSP up and laying the new panels down, because everything above the ground had holes on it, and the runway was all buckled, it was dangerous. So they got way behind. I had my thing to do, they had their thing to do, but they said, "Oh man, we're getting way behind on this runway." I said, "What's the problem? Can't get the old out of the way." I said, "I'll fix that. I'm a demo man." And so I went using explosives to cut the old runway up in sections, and they could maneuver it off and hurry up and get ready to lay down new. And besides that, they put me in charge of the CBs when they came there as a group. Old Chief Hewley, he was so low, he had liver spots on his head. And I started helping them any way I could and set up designated defense positions and all that. And well, what happened when it all became very fast and successful, and at the end they made me an honorary CB way back in 1966. And who would know, as time went by, some personnel man made it his business. I messed my back up on a deployment parachute to Vietnam. It would be my second tour. And they made it, some personnel man, God bless him, boy, I wasn't too happy with him. They made it their business. So you can't be special forces anymore. You can't fall out of any airplanes no more. Well, that was, now I was building up towards 1970. And so they made me get out of the special forces. I was an instructor at John F. Kennedy Special Warfare Center for 3 years. And when they came up with that deal, I said, well, I can still bump my gums. Well, the pen's mightier than a sword. And that was downhill from me there. It was like taking a seal and going to make a cook or a clerk out of them. Well, that's what they were trying to do. They give me funky jobs and positions, and so I got out after 12 years being in the Army and Seabees. I got out before I hurt somebody. And,
Oh, right. On the website,
Go
you
ahead.
know the website that I have that has the list of all the people from the team, specialforcesbooks.com. I added a link at the bottom of that website, and there's a video that Robbie did a couple of years ago, maybe more than a couple of years ago, for the local newspaper, and it's quite good. So you might want to take a look at that, and you get a much more detailed background on Robbie. Look, I want to try to do this in a little bit different way than I usually do these here. I like to do it chronologically. Who of all the people here, who was there the earliest? Anybody there from 65? 66?
I was there.
No, at this camp.
Yeah.
When did you come to the camp?
What camp, Steve?
I tell you, it was easy to remember December 25.
What camp you
Hot
talking
time,
about?
hot time.
No, in December, yeah, Ha Thanh, west of Quang Nam. Yeah. Yeah,
Okay,
they wanted to jump me in because they were surrounded up. Charlie was had control of the hill country around him. They were going to parachute me in, but they says, well, we can't, we got to get your replacement out. So I went into the camp on.
jump you into?
Pardon?
Say again?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand.
Who were they trying, where were they trying to jump you into?
Oh, into the first camp at Ha Thanh.
It's a hot time.
Yeah.
They tried to jump you in there.
Well, I ended up going in by chopper, and so the man I was replacing could get out. And I took in a can of turkey with me that they're supposed to get Thanksgiving Day. And when I landed, boy, they were glad to see that turkey. They could care less about me, which is all right, you know. I was a newbie, but hey, I don't want to extend anything I say. I want to give that. I want to hear.
All right. Who's the next earliest person there? I guess we're going to 67 by now. Anybody there from 67?
I was.
Okay.
I got there. in-
Rich Dumais, 67, 68.
So it seems like they're talking about camp.
All right, Ivan, what was going on in 67?
I got there and I was assigned to it in October of 67, and I got to camp. Oh gosh, I think the end of I got to camp about November of 67, and I left and turned back to the States in 69. But I was at a radio operator there, but we were short of radio operators, as everybody knows, and I'd leave and then turn around and come back again. And then finally went to the Mike Force with Captain Gessrigan, but we got called back again when Ha Thanh was almost overrun there in that August, September timeframe. Then I went to the Mike Force after that.
Bob, you're the earliest one that's here. Bob Sahosky?
Yeah, oh, am I? Okay, yeah, I'm on, yeah.
But you're the earliest person
Yeah,
who was at Ha Thanh from all the people that are here. Tell us a little bit about 65 at Ha Thanh.
yeah, I got there in September of 65 and replaced a guy named Joel Helms. And the day or so I got there, a guy named McNulty was hit south of the camp, just on the other side of the river. Well, I guess it was at the Cook River. So we were there. We were building the camp up, establishing defenses and tanglefoot and digging trenches. And we had nothing. I mean, really, we got there. They had just moved in from Haro not too long before that. Hey, but I'm interested. the guy that was talking about the turkey, we had a turkey dropped to us or delivered to us for Christmas of 65. The sergeant major came out there, the great big salami. And it was the first real USA type normal food we had since early, I don't know, November. The airfield washed out. They couldn't land caribou. There was just a really, and the Marine Corps didn't support us, quite frankly. They didn't. VNAF did the best they, well, the VNAF didn't do too bad considering what they had. So all I know is it rained all the while. We had no, I don't think I had anybody, any USF wounded or KIA during the time I was there. It was stayed pretty normal. I mean, we just patrolled and we'd make contact all the time. Didn't matter where the hell we went, we got contact. But I mean, that's the guts of it. And I was relieved by, and while I was there, there was a team, SXO was a guy named Jimmy Estep, who was our second or third time there. Bernie Benson was a team sergeant, outstanding guy. Let's see, Ken Logan. I don't know if anybody knows Ken Logan was my demo guy, great guy. I think the thing I can remember about Ken Logan, it was just, he really had a pair of balls. He was good. And I think the whole, while he was there, he got one letter. He didn't mind it. Didn't bother him at all. I don't know, Ken, are you on by any chance? If anybody know, I did get in touch with this guy, Ken Logan, much later. Coincidentally, he was the very good friend of my son's commanding officer. My son was in the Navy pilot. And I talked to Ken, and he was in Arizona. So my radio operator was a guy named Tyrone, who has a history unto himself. He was in the submarines in World War II, then flew B-29s off of, I don't know, Thule or Presque Isle, Maine, and it was an SF. So I mean, it was a typical robust wild SF detachment. Okay.
What did you do after Ha Thanh?
After Ha Thanh, I went to the C detachment. I was the PSYOPs officer at Ha Thanh, at C1 under a guy named Ken Facey. And Ken Facey was in the Green Beret.
He was the briefing officer in the movie.
Right. Yeah. As it turned out, we all have our claim to fame but I went back to when I was getting ready to leave country in September of '66. They needed somebody to squire this guy, John Barrett, around. John Barrett did a screen adaptation of the Green Beret. And I was his escort guy, and watched him start drinking Jim Crow or Jack Daniels at 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning and working on a script, and it came out pretty well, actually.
Can anybody jump in here?
Yep.
Just want to say hello to John Dickey.
Got there.
Phil Jacks. Do you remember me?
Bill Jack.
Your junior Camo?
Oh, yeah.
I came back from an operation in June, and no, July, and you went out on a PDA. You got medevac out on there. Remember that?
Yeah, yeah.
You remember me now?
Yeah. Tall kid, black hair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It made me senior Camo when you unexpectedly left.
Yeah.
I don't know where you went. I don't know where you went from there, but I always wondered about you.
I got medevac to Chulai When I got out of the hospital, they took me into the C team.
Ah. Never did find out what happened to you, but I'm glad it worked out well for you. You look good.
Yeah. I had another tour after that, but
You were at 10 foot too, weren't you, before that?
yeah. I was there for a short period.
67 or somewhere around?
I was in 67, my first tour.
Yeah.
10 foot for about 2 months or so. Because
Okay.
the radio operator got medevaced out, and they had a young kid there named Cooper. So they sent me, I was at Bateau, they sent me up there. And then when I left there, they sent me to Camduck. Because their radio operator, the only one they had was going on R&R. I kind of got shipped around the first tour pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, they were always short on radio operators up there.
And
I left
medics.
the town. I went, that looks like Bob Hunt.
Hey, Phil, how you
Is
doing?
that Bob?
That's me.
Yeah. Good to see you, buddy.
Good to see you too, Phil.
Yeah. It looks like all the, what do you call them? V fogs are on
Yeah.
here.
All great.
Yeah. Paul Jung is supposed to be on here too somewhere. You remember Paul Jung?
I don't
Young.
know about him.
It was
No.
Paul Young, wasn't it?
Paul Jung, Jung.
Yeah, I thought it was Young. Well, whatever.
Different pronunciation.
Yeah. Is that Farley there?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Hey, Michael.
How are you?
I'm good. You doing good after all that crap and shit you went through the past couple of years, huh?
You should have checked me out in December. From December on, I've been septic shock, hospitalized. I've had COVID. The only good news is I saw the oncologist yesterday, and my PET scan still shows me in remission. And so I'm on my third round of goddamn lymphoma. So I
Wow.
wonder out of all the people that were at A104, just how many cancer people we've got, because that place was completely denuded. Must have been just saturated with Agent Orange.
The
Nothing
problem,
really.
the people who really got it are probably not here at all.
Hey,
Well,
I'm one. So Husky,
That's true. True.
I- oh.
True.
no,
I'm
I-
here.
But
I'm here.
I
I'm
I
a
just been-
three-time cancer survivor.
3
Yeah,
times.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well,
Phil,
this is my third go around. I've been fucking with this for 5 years now.
Which lymphoma did you have, Michael?
Diffuse large B cell lymphoma.
That's exactly the one I had. They said that's really rare. Most people don't get that. They get Hodgkin's or non-Hodgkin's, but the B cell non-diffuse whatever is kind of rare. Most people don't get that. But you and I both had the same thing.
Well, the odd part about this is that I was supposed to, I've had my CAR T cells harvested, and they've done the voodoo magic on the cells, which is another story, but they're sitting in the freezer. And I was supposed to have the transfusion on the 30th of November, and things got boogered up. And my oncologist gave me a bridging, chemo, to kind of hold it at bay to keep the tumors from getting any bigger. And whatever the hell she gave me killed it at the point, and it's still not showing any disease. But they say that it could come back in a week, 3 weeks, 2 months, 6 months. It's like a piece of rotten fruit just hanging there waiting to drop. So that's my life.
I've been in remission. Well, I was diagnosed in March of 19, hospitalized in May at MD Anderson in Houston. Then I went through chemo through the end of September, but I've been in remission since then. Now, my prostate cancer was back in 14 and then came back again in 15. So as far as I know now, I'm cancer free, but like Michael says, it can come back at any time.
Well,
Any of you, do any of you know anything about MDS,
Well, let me-
myeloid plastic syndrome?
Now I've got muscular dystrophy also.
It's like a pre-leukemia in the bone marrow. I was
No.
diagnosed with that about 4 or 5 months ago. I just went to my oncologist yesterday and doing okay. I mean, it's not cancer yet, but it could develop into leukemia. So I was wondering if anybody else had anything like that.
Going back to Steve's original question on A104, this is the Husky. I had prostate in 2009, and then
Well,
colon in 2013. But since then, it's been clean as a whistle. I mean, praise the Lord. Okay.
I just
bet.
tested positive on prostate about 2 months ago.
Mhm.
I took out my prostate in 14 and thought they had everything done, but then it showed up a year later. And I learned that the prostate cancer cells, if they show up in your lungs, it's not lung cancer, it's still prostate cancer.
Oh,
Because
really?
it's from the prostate cells. So they took everything out on me in 14. So a year later, when it came back, it was somewhere in the below the intestine area. But then they had to go in with beam radiation and different other things. But
Well, I had mine, and I had mine removed 15 years ago, and I have it checked every year, and I'm reading a 0.1.
yeah, that mine is undetectable. Now, all of you are aware that's on the Agent Orange list, and
Right.
that alone will give you 100% disability on VA.
That's
They
correct.
do?
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah, but it has to be, doesn't it have to be active? If you're considered to be in remission, does the VA still say
No.
you're 100%?
when you're diagnosed with prostate cancer and you have gotten that while on active duty, it doesn't matter what the status is later, you got it. And then you will get the 100% disability.
Right. Hey,
Right.
Michael, what's holding on to you is that nice sweatshirt you're wearing.
I tell you what, one of the side effects of all the chemo I've had is I get cold easily. I never was like that.
I freeze easily too. I chill.
Hey,
I-
guys, I'm sitting over here with Robbie. You can't see me on the screen, but I volunteer for the DAV. And on what you were saying there, Terry, if you get one of the, there's 12 presumptives that they came out with in the first Agent Orange review in 2012. Then just this last year in 21, they added, all these years later, 50 years, they added bladder cancer, Parkinsonism, not Parkinson's, which is already there, but Parkinsonisms, which is like Parkinson's, and then hypothyroidism. But just because you get it and doesn't mean you're going to go to 100% like at $3,000. You might have 100% in prostate cancer, but your overall may not be 100%. You know what I'm saying? You can have something at the 100% level, an individual disease, but doesn't mean that your total VA disability amount is going to be, you're going to be at 100% total and permanent.
I'm not sure what you're saying. All I know is I had the diagnosis in 2014 and had the surgery at the end. And then the beginning of 2015, knowing that prostate cancer was on the Agent Orange list, I had the VA representative in my hometown here work with me, and we filled out the paperwork, submitted everything, and by the middle of the year, I think June or July, everything was done and my 100% came through. And at
I'm
that
glad.
time, that's all I had going against me. Since then, I've had other things, but I
I'm
picked
glad.
up 100% at that time.
Yeah.
I hate to be a killjoy on this, but I'm trying to collect some historical information from you guys. So let's go away from the doctor side of the house and go back to the history. We started out with Bob, who came in there just as the second group of people. Leo, I think you're next. You got there in '67 or thereabouts. What was going on in Ha Thanh at that time? Leo Ornstein? Leo? Is this not Leo? Down at the bottom? Well, you can't tell who I've got here.
Yeah, Leo Orenston is down here at the bottom left as I'm looking at the
I put the
screen.
name in there. He may be another Leo. He doesn't hear anything.
I see him there.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, I put the name in. So I don't know if I've got maybe I made a mistake. Who's that? Who's the guy I'm pointing to right now? You can't tell, can you? What am I going to do?
Steve, I got a question from,
Bob,
is that Major Bob Hunt?
Yes.
I'd like to hear, and it sounds like somebody's speaking of Ha Thanh. They're not talking about the same camp I was in.
no, we're talking about Ha Thanh. That's what everybody's here
He been to
for.
Ha Thanh, west of Quang Ngai?
I was at Ha
Yeah.
Thanh, 68,
Oh.
69, the medic.
West of
What,
Quang Ngai, yeah.
what was your job there?
I was the medic on A104 from September of 68 to August of 69 at Ha Thanh the whole time. Medic.
All that time?
Yes. Then after that, when I got out, I joined the 11th Special Forces Group, got commissioned, and worked up to be a company Special Forces major.
That's where you made major.
Right. I got 22 years in.
Well, that Ha Thanh, I was there when we built that up from scratch. Well, had to have the village old men and women, and if there's any kids too old enough to get involved with either the VC or us, with hose and hoed out the runway there and everything. I had such extensive, I had 150 Claymore mines around the camp. I had that camp well defended, and that's why Charlie never attacked us openly.
Yeah, but then some of the CIDJ would crawl out, take out some of that C4 to cook their fires on patrol.
Yeah.
I think we all remember that.
Bob, was John Lewis there as medic when you were there?
No, Greg Landry.
Who?
Greg Landry.
Because I remember John Lewis, he was a tall, slim kid, blonde hair. Michael Fairley replaced him.
No,
And that was towards the end of 69, wasn't it? Or am I-
No, he
Lewis was this is Fairley.
Yeah.
Lewis was my junior medic
Oh.
the whole time I was there until I left, or almost till I left. He was out of Arizona, and I've never been able to track him down since.
I thought he was there before you, my mistake.
Yeah, no, he was. He was there when I showed up. He was an
Okay.
E5. I was a 6, and I replaced Bob, I believe.
Okay.
Hey, was anybody there? Was anybody there when they shot the Marine Corps shot that caribou down? It was landed.
Not me.
that sounds like an interesting story. Let's hear the rest of it.
Okay. Oh,
Well, you're all talking about the medics and whatnot. How about the name BAR? Solid. Now I forgot his last name. BAR. He was a medic, and anyway, you go on any operation, he won't carry BAR. He says, "Well, they're going to have hell to pay. They mess with. We get in a fight.
You're not talking about squirrels plugs, are you?
I don't have any casualties. I'll make some." Yeah, he was a little bit crazy. Jim, Steve knows who I'm talking about.
Drugs, right?
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
Scruggs would never carry a BAR. No way in hell would
He
Scruggs
would.
carry a BAR. That wasn't his shtick. No.
Yeah, he did, because that's where we kind of renamed him Dinky Dog. You know, medics got enough stuff to carry on a patrol and an operation.
Well,
But I just
if
wondered.
you say Dinky now, I think Scruggs.
Yeah.
BAR doesn't fit either.
No, he was there. He was there from 65.
Yeah.
He left sometime in 66 and he came back. He was in and out of Vietnam. So when he was working for me, he never carried a BA. He was scared shitless to go out on a patrol. I mean, he did his job. I mean, to his credit, he went when his number was up, his rotation was up, but he was
When
scared.
we
to
had
death.
security positions at night, they'd team him up once in a while with me, and he'd lay there laying out the whole attack, how the VC are gonna hit us tonight and do this. I says, Scruggs, go to sleep. We'll take care of them. This was in a machine gun bunker with me. And so, but anyway, I'm sorry to hear that he didn't, I left after, I was only there about 5 or 6 months, maybe 5 months. And then they moved me up to Quezon Long Bay. But I always kind of, I always thought the guy was gun-ho, tear him up, beat him up, blood, guts, kill. But not so. He must have, I should have stayed back there.
He did his job. He was a great medic. He knew how to handle it. He took care of the locals, the indigenous. He took care of the team, but he was not gung ho to get out there. Yeah, he didn't want to go on patrol. He was scared shitless.
No. Well, Dag, I'm sorry to hear that.
Why? I was scared too, but what the hell? You know?
Yeah, but yeah, well,
Bob
okay.
Gilmartin? Bob
Yo.
Gilmartin?
Yeah.
How about you chime in over here a little bit about what was going on at your time?
I got there in September '68, right after the team house was hit. And Phil Lugo was there and Dean Kirkpatrick. And we sort of restocked the camp. Most of the people that were there when Sosniak got killed were already rotated out. And I stayed there for 7 months until April of '69. I got there September '68. Hunt came in when I was there, Bobby. And
How you doing, Bob? Good to
pretty
see you.
good. I don't know who else was there during that time. Ed Klaus was the team sergeant, but he's passed away.
Bob
Lugo's
Stefanian.
gone now. Huh?
Bob Stefanian.
Yeah, Stepanian, he's still kicking.
met
So is Bill Abe. I don't know if he's on. Stafford Landry.
Yep.
And I'm trying to think who else we got. Kennedy's gone.
Whatever happened to Landry?
Stafford Landry's fine. He's kicking. He ended up down there in the National Guard. He went to, I think, a full colonel.
Alfred, you better say something. They're talking about you.
Yeah, I was the other medic right before Bob came in, and I remember Gil Martin well. We had a good team.
Yes, sir. You got blown out of the shit house. That's a good story.
Yeah, go do a sanitary and have the thing blow up on you.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah.
Yeah,
Tell us the story.
That's a memory.
John, tell us
What's
the
that?
story.
Yeah. Yeah, I went down to the Louisiana Guard and joined the 20th SF. And
Now,
the first,
I want the story about the team house or the pit house.
Shit house.
shit house, it was easy. I went down there to burn the pit, blew up.
Yeah, the story's a little bit more complicated. Leo came in there to drive it. He was loaded up with oil and gas, and he walked out looking for a match. And then John came in, and he's walking around, he throws some more on there and drops the match in,
No,
boom.
he come in after Sosniak. He come in September. Sosniak was killed in August.
Yeah, I got there in September of 68.
I'm going
But,
to, because he's the one that fired fired Eagle.
Yeah.
How was he killed? How was Sosi? I don't know that. How was Sosi got killed?
Well, there's a contention. I still say it was a 75 wreck from Hill 221, although they're saying it was a 122. But he was in the team house, and the round came in, hit the windowsill, and it wiped him out. And I think 2 or 3 other people, a couple of them being CBs, that were in there working. We built a big blast wall up after that in front of that side of the team house.
Hey, Bob, we had the three people there were EOD people because we had unexploded ordnance in there. And so C-Team set them out and they were in the team house there along with Sosniak and Trouster. And so I had just left about 2 minutes before it got hit. And but those are the 3 EOD guys.
Right.
Weren't they from Chulai Marine Corps?
I don't know where they were from. I just know
July
that
was the Marical division.
Well, I realize that, but originally the Marines landed there. But at some point, I remember reading something about them being Marine Corps EOD people. I could be
might have been
way off.
When I was there, July was all Marine. That's where they landed, and it was still there in 66.
Yeah, the 24th Division Americal came later.
It was Marines and Koreans prior to that. Then when the Marines moved out and the Koreans moved out, then the Americal was put in place.
Hey, Bob, didn't you replace Eagle, Baines Eagle? Bob?
You're talking to me?
No, Bob Gilmartin.
Oh,
No, Eagle was already gone when I got there.
Oh.
Lugo came in, Phil Lugo,
Okay.
and he was camp commander, and Dean Kirkpatrick was still there.
He did what?
He to leave. He was the XO I replaced.
Okay.
Yep.
Bob, didn't they dig in the TOC right after that?
Told you all day that.
We were taking rounds every day after that, but the
I
main
know.
attack, it was a hot camp for a while, but we didn't take any kind of ground assault. It was mostly flak jacket time every afternoon. Put your flak jacket on and go to the mess hall, grab your chow, and come back.
You ever get that new team house built that had that big hole dug out there?
Yeah, that was the top. We did get the thing going. We were still working on it when I was there, and I think they did turn it over. Covered it up. Yep.
It got finished when just before I got there.
Okay. We thought it was going to be a big swimming pool as long as it took to build it.
Yeah, the commo bunker and intel stuff was down in the bottom floor, and then the second floor was the TOC, and then you had all the stuff on top. It was pretty well fortified.
Yeah.
Anyone there from early 67?
Rich Dumais, I was there September 67 to September 68.
Okay, so that was Steve, right? Steve Moran?
Yeah.
What happened? What was your time over there? What happened?
69, 70. I got there in late June 69 and went back to Chulai in 70. Well, I guess probably December 69.
You and Skip both there at the same time?
Yeah. I'm sorry?
Skip,
yeah.
yes.
Hey, yeah, Skip was the XO. Hey.
Hey, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. You look good yourself.
Well, not too bad for a COVID-ridden sumbitch that I am.
Oh yeah.
Look, you two guys were there in 70, but that's about the time they had the various other people hanging around. You had the Seabees, as represented by Richard Holmes up here. and you have the MACV contingent that was living in the camp with you, with Dave Dragish here.
Right. I got there late in November of '69, replaced Paul Jung. We were the MACV. There were only two of us MACV. It was Sergeant Clark and myself. Skip was the XO at the time I got there. Vandergriff was the CO. And I was there all the way through November of '70, through camp down at the end of July. And we built the MACV compound, over the district compound. So we moved over there. But I know the CBs were out there twice during my tour, because I remember when I got there, the runway was like 875 feet. And if it rained, you couldn't land for like 3 days or 4 days until it dried out. And if you did land there, you had to, as a Caribou pilot, I know they had to do like 5 touch and goes just to get qualified. The CBs came out early in '70, put PSP or oil down on the runway. That didn't work. Then they came out later in '70, middle of '70, and they got some PSP made of a metal runway. I think the good thing I remember about the CBs was we were in the process of building a compound over in the district compound. And it's make a long story short. I found out that the S4 for the province advisory team and his interpreter were on the take civilians with Air America. They would charge them anywhere from 25 to 50,000 piastres to fly out from Quang Ngai out to San Ha. The MACV team commander, who was a good old boy from Mississippi, in the name of Captain Sullivan, I told him, I figured it out, told him about it. He went in, he blackmailed the S4. The CBs were there when what the blackmail was, we wanted to get some running water. We wanted to get a water tank. So they flew in underneath a Chinook, a big 800-gallon water tank, and the CBs dragged it up the hill and put it up on top of the hill by the district headquarters. And then we put in, they put in flushing toilets. We were that was the only camp in the mountains that had flushing toilets. After we had that 800-gallon water tank put on the hill as we built the MACV compound in September and October of 1970. But the thing I remember about Skip Anders was, Skip will remember this. There was another officer came in by the name of Ken Broomfield. And Broomfield adopted this little puppy called Diablo. The problem with Diablo was he wasn't housebroken, and he would usually leave a deposit outside Skip's room in the team house, and Skip stepped in it a couple of times, and I think he put a contract out on the dog, and it disappeared about 2 or 3 days later. I think the Boneyards had it for a nice meal. So
I know nothing. I know absolutely nothing about that.
I know. But I still tell that story, and sometimes I get together some other people like, somebody killed a dog. I said, well, you would too. Then the other thing, Skip, I think, had a Thompson submachine gun, and the rats used to run across the top of the plywood ceiling. And I recall seeing bullet holes in the ceiling because Skip would lay in bed and shoot at the rats as they would go across the top of the ceiling.
Your counterpart, your predecessors just showed up here.
Well, yeah, I see Paul.
Hey, David.
How you doing, Mr. John?
Top of the day to you.
Oh.
So now we're getting another more MACV.
Oh my goodness gracious. How come you pricks are also looking so damn old? I don't understand.
You want to look in a mirror.
Oh, maybe that's it. Oh my goodness.
Hey,
Well,
hey, Paul, it's Steve Moran.
Oh, hi, Steve.
How are you?
I'm good. Thank you. Oh my goodness.
You remember going to the feast in the West Village? They killed a water buffalo.
I sure do. I've got some great photos of that deal.
Oh, is that?
Of course, they're. Go ahead.
We had to walk that 50cc Honda back from the village to the camp because we were both drunk.
I can't imagine that we were ever imbibing to the point of not being able to ride that little motorcycle. Holy crap.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, remember the Montyards had a big, what do you call it? Jar of
Yeah.
rice wine.
Of rice
and,
wine.
And
big
and
straws.
big straws. And if
Yep.
you weren't drinking and they pulled the straw out of your mouth, if it wasn't running, they'd all spit in the bowl and you'd have to drink it. So it was smarter from a health standpoint to just keep drinking,
I think so.
whether
Yeah.
it got you drunk or not.
What the hell is the difference? It was full of hepatitis anyway, guys. I mean, I did that. We used, I mean, this is back in '66. I had a CIA mission there at the time too. And the CIA would bring in, they would bring in VIPs, quote, and we'd pay 25 or 50 bucks to kill a water buffalo. And then they would kill the water buffalo. You guys probably said, kill the water buffalo. And they'd go around and jab it and all that thing for the poor animal to drop dead. Then the name of the district chief down at San Ha district, now not the district chief, but the village down the road, was called Dai We No. He was a Montagnard. He had fought at for the French, and then he went and sliced off about 5 pounds of meat off the rump of this water buffalo, squeezed it and soaked it in the blood, soaked it in the wine, wrung it out, and then we drank it. We just like that was part of our wine. And I'll never forget my medic guy's name was Al Weed, junior medic, junior to Scruggs. And Al, I'd love to find out whatever happened to Al. Smart son of a.
He's alive. I talked to him about a week ago, but he
Did
didn't
you?
Here yet. Yeah.
Great. I don't want to find it because his email anyway. So we looked at each other and says, well, what the hell? A little hep for friendly relations. And so we sucked it down. I mean, it's
Small price to pay.
Yeah. And we lived, you know, I mean, I want to, before we quit, Steve, I don't know if you're aware, you said, is anybody aware of that caribou that was shot down over the runway in 67, 68? I wasn't there.
I asked for somebody to tell us the story if they were there when it happened.
I would like to hear that story.
Well, tell you where it is, though. Okay, I mean, just to give you the background, I was at Fort Bragg or Fort Sill or someplace, and people knew I had been at Ha Thanh, and a guy came up to me and said, "Hey, they shot a caribou down at your camp." When I was back in the States, and it was on the front page of the Time. I believe at the time, what happened was there was a photographer there shooting. The Marine artillery, 2 guns or battery minus were there shooting, and a caribou come over, and I don't know why it was there, what it was, I can't remember. And the guy shooting shots, getting shoots at caribou, and sure as hell, a 105 round goes through that rear boom of the caribou, and the caribou then ass just flopped over and it came straight down, killed everybody on it. It was probably 400 feet, 500 feet. And it's written up, and if you probably looked it up in Time, Steve, I think it was cover of Time. That's where it was. It was a fantastic shot. Yeah.
That's terrible.
Yeah, fantastic shot though, of course.
They were actually trying to do that?
No, not even the Marines would do that. No.
Oh, no. SF has got a little history. There are a couple of guys on the TDY teams that were relieved for shooting at American airplanes.
No. The artillery was going out, and nobody coordinated the FDC didn't coordinate the fires coming out, and this poor caribou came over. Now Steve, I got to be. It's either Time or it was on the front page of New York Times. It was a front page of a national publication, and it referenced Ha Thanh. I don't know why I didn't keep it. Of course, this was 67, 68. We had bigger fish to fry at the time. So, interesting story.
Look, before I get off on other things, let me give you 2 little sort of commercial bits here. First of all, I've got, not only do I have specialforcesbooks.com, but I have another website called specialforcesphotos.com. And if you go to that website and sign up for it, I check your name to make sure you're on my list, which you all are. And then I give you permission to post photos on that website. You can do it by yourself. And then anybody who's up there can look at the photos. They're divided up by camps. They can look at the photos, and if they say, I'm the third guy from the left, you can add that to the captions. So he's talking about photos, Paul, and Bob had talked about photos here. Please scan your photos and set them up there, because that's the whole idea of that. I wanted that site as a hands-off thing for me, so I don't have to mess with posting all the pictures. But get captions on them. Second thing is, most of you, I think, have the Green Beret magazines from me. If you don't, you ought to think about getting them, because I'm somewhere around 100 sets left in my warehouse, and I want to clean out that warehouse. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, the monthly magazines we had in group, I reprinted them in a 5-volume set, and they're also noted on my website. So please, if you haven't got them already, and most of you, I believe, do have.
What's that website again, Steve? Give me that website again.
Specialforcesbooks.com. And don't make a mistake saying sfbooks.com, because you'll end up in a gay bookstore in San Francisco.
Oh, really?
I also have another thing. It's a 14-volume set of books on the Vietnam War that I edited. And if you're interested that much, it's a big deal. You give me a call. But the note here is Ha Thanh was turned over to the 87th Border Ranger Battalion and was closed down sometime in 1973, which when I did this, it surprised me to find out how long most of those camps lasted after we left. I wouldn't have given them, 6 months to survive for the most part, especially since they left the LLDB in charge.
Yeah.
But
Steve?
Yes.
I remember when I was back in Fort Devens, the heavy weapons sergeant then became team sergeant. Last name is Geddes.
Gaddis.
Gaddis.
Dave
He was
Gaddis.
getting he was getting
Mr.
letters.
Clean.
He was getting letters saying that the camps were being overrun almost immediately after they were turned over to the LLDB.
Would have thought so, but that's not what happened.
No.
The earliest one there, Tien Phuc went down in December of 72. Bateau, they were withdrawn in 10/30/72. Now, Polly Clang and other things got hit during the Easter offensive pretty heavily over there by the Khartoum area. The 4 Corps teams were all closed down, but not because they were hit, but because they didn't need them anymore. The rough puffs basically in 4 Corps and a good part of 3 Corps were getting pretty good, and they were taking on NVA at that point. So now it was a surprise, because these guys, the LNDB had been ripping off the yards for so long. I would expect the yards to have taken a revenge on them as soon as they had the opportunity. But I guess because these guys recognized they were out there in the middle of nowhere, depending on 600 yards for their life and safety, they became better people. But the other factor was the LLDB headquarters, the B teams, the C teams, and the high command were all closed down. Everybody changed their berets, and became Rangers. So the rest of the guys were out of there, and the Ranger Command took over the structure. And they proved themselves pretty good. All the Border Ranger camps, for example, in Forkor that closed down, they were consolidated with other Ranger commands throughout the country, and they continued on active fighting.
Yeah, I was a Ranger advisor on my second tour in Vietnam with the 3rd Ranger Group, and they all fought to the end later on in 75. But I was at Loc Ninh in 72, and I closed Tonle Shan as a Border Ranger camp sometime in late 71.
Now, Tonle Shan was particularly interesting because that wasn't closed. It went under siege for close to a year and a half. They were under siege. They ultimately left the camp. They E&E'd out of the camp in April of 1974.
Yeah, well, we took over in 71, late 71.
Yeah,
because I February 72, and Moffat was my replacement, and that's when Loc Ninh got hot. And Loc, actually.
Loc Ninh, that they were closed down in April of 72. They couldn't do anything, but they were sitting on a base camp basically. They're worse than Chu Chi rather, in terms of tunnels and things. So anyway, that was my 2 cents in here. Let's get back to Ha Thanh.
Hey, Mike Fairley,
Yes,
you mentioned John Lewis.
yes.
I was looking at Steve's chart here. He shows him as deceased.
Yeah, he was the California
Oh,
guy that Mike mentioned to me, and when I asked about him to other people, I got information that he was deceased. I think I have a date. What was Lewis's first name on the chart? Yeah, Ivan.
John
Lewis. John E, wasn't it?
John E. Lewis.
John E. Yeah.
John E. Lewis died in San Antonio, 9/2/21.
Wow.
I found an obituary for him, I think, but that was definitely him.
He had the call sign Captain America until they made him stop using it because of the captain, and then he became Hightower. I think it was Hightower. Michael, was it Hightower?
There was a Hightower, but right now he could be standing next to me. I don't.
I'm pretty sure it was Lewis, but I do know he had Captain America, and they made him stop using that.
Well, I don't recall his changing it, but it's entirely possible. He was kind of a quiet guy, but he'd get up in the morning and he'd have he'd basically drink a case of beer a day. Remember that? He always had a beer.
We all went to the refrigerator quite a bit throughout the day, as I remember it.
I wouldn't know anything about that, but
Put the mark on the refrigerator.
I drank more scotch than I did anything else, but he always wanted to go out on night ambushes and things of that nature. He was just eager to go do those things. And I always was concerned that he was going to get out there, finally, do one of those small ambushes and get himself rolled up, and that would, we'd next hear from him being out as a POW, because, he was tall, he was fair, blonde, he just stood out. Me, I just looked like a short, fat mountaineer.
John Early, we haven't heard very much from you here.
I'm still figuring out this. Wait a minute.
Ah, that works. Okay.
Aha.
Take the cover off. Finger off the lens.
Oh,
Can
yeah.
I-
Okay.
Can I ask a question or bring up something? I'm surprised that so many had experience at Ha Thanh, because when I first got there, they were low Lexan ammo, supplies and everything into us by Low Lex. They parachuted live cows and pigs into our camp.
I remember that.
Yep.
Although
Yep.
I remember the one that broke out of the crate.
I remember that too.
Me
Yeah.
too. Me too.
And my main question is, what made Ha Thanh so popular to build that camp up, and so many like you guys had experience there? What was the main mission? Why, after I left, I got out of there because I had a falling out with the team leader. And so they sent me to Quezon Long Base, figured that'd be the end of me. But that's another story. But I thought I died and gone to heaven, because I like to fight. And that's what I thought it was all about. But anyway, can any of you guys tell me strategically why Ha Thanh became so important?
Let me take a crack at that, Steve. When I was assigned the camp, I mean, the briefing I got from, I guess, because Ken Facey, the briefing, you know, the guy that was in the thing, and S2. And now our job was to interdict and intercept local force or any infiltrating from the Ho Chi Minh Trail towards Quang Ngai City.
Nice city, yeah.
Yeah, and we were supposed to interdict them. Well, after I was there about 3 weeks, I figured out, hell, it didn't take anything to observe them. There was just, here they go. There goes a battalion. There goes another battalion. What they mean, it was just, you know, Katie bar the door. Also, then I had the dual mission with the Rough Puffs, and the CIDG mission was, I mean, you know, build up the pacification thing for the district. So that was but I think the strategic thing was, if you look from the camp north towards Trebong, there was a valley there. And the idea was they were infiltrating between Ha Thanh and Trebong towards Quang Ngai and what was the place? My Lai and all those villages over there. So
Now,
I was told.
how many clicks is Ha Thanh from where all this activity on the Ho Chi Minh Trail took place?
Well, I thought they came down at some place. They came down a trail and split off and went east, I guess. I think
There also was a transshipment point at Jialang, that old French airstrip, which was southwest of the camp, which was a transshipment point on the Ho Chi Minh Trail between where they come up out of Pleiku and then take stuff off, which was brought down from the north and take that into Tu Corps.
Where was that? I know of Jialang. I didn't know where.
Well, you would stand on the, it was the western end of the camp. You look down the valley all the way towards Jialang. And on the maps, it always was shown up as an old French airstrip. And then they also had marked as a hospital. And it took most of the year I was there, because even before they finally went in and bombed it. And I know we had the Warlords, which was a gunship outfit out of the Americow. They shot it up at night, came back 2 or 3 times after reloading, and had 55 KIA because they lit it up with the searchlights, and they just got them out in the open. And it was, you know, and a few other about me beating on the door several times with intelligence reports before they finally put an airstrike in on it, because they thought they were violating the Geneva Conventions and hitting Jialang when if they said it was still a hospital. They said, no, it's a transshipment point.
Well, did Ha Thanh ever get a ground attack?
Yeah, there was there was not a ground attack, but there was a mortar attack 31 days before I left at the end of September, where there was a ranger camp by then, but they just marched, the VC marched mortar rounds right down through the middle of the camp.
Oh, man.
District compound. No one was hurt, but it was, the mortars were raining in that night. That was like at the end of September 70.
Well, how much did you build up your CIDG in camp?
Well, I didn't do much after the special forces left. They booted all the MACV people out. That's why we built the compound down in the district compound, but they never really built it up. They just, kept the main security. It had like 6 or 7 rows of concertina and all those Claymore mines.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I just wondered, well, thanks for the info, but they never did get overrun, I hope.
No, never did. The one that was overrun was Trebong, and that was overrun in the middle or early September. And they always called that Happy Valley because they never closed the gates up there. That's where Garnett got his Silver Star because he was transferred from 104 as the medic up to Trebong, and he did a rear guard, rear action. He was going out the back door when the VC were coming in the front door, but he got a Silver Star based on his action. Trebong was overrun back in September 70. Then they built a sand table of Ha Thanh. We got intelligence on that. And it was about 2 weeks later that we got mortared pretty badly. And they gunships out from the Marical division that night, but we never were overrun in either the camp or the district compound while I was there.
Yeah, so they really built that camp up.
I don't know if you got time, but when was this about the Trebong thing?
That was early September of 70. I'd have to check my diary.
On that. A long time after I left, but
I just got, I don't know if you want to move on, there's a little anecdote about Ha Thanh and Trebong, Steve. In November, in fact, it was November 13th, I remember well, 1965, Trebong, there's a guy running a camp up there. It was a guy named Felix Fazzackerly. He was an Australian.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
He was an Australian, but he was basically Hungarian. He's a Hungarian who got out of Hungary in '56, the revolution and that stuff. Went to Australia. Crazy bastard.
Yeah, a lot of them guys were.
Yeah, he went to the Mike Force.
That's where he belonged. But then he took a patrol out west of the camp. I don't know what, some drag, I don't know, but got hit, and we were listening on the radio, and then they alerted us and called us to go in, and he had 100 people, and he split his forces. He had three prongs going down the road.
Well, they had a lot of missions aiming at that Ho Chi Minh Trail, and
he wasn't anywhere near the Ho Chi. They were going. Well, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not going to argue that where he was, but
that's all right. I just was wondering, and boy, I was just I never thought that camp would last that long.
And I'll never. We just got steaks. We were cooking steaks, and they lured us. So we loaded up. I loaded up. I don't know, 50, 60 guys, and we're airlifted into a spot. Didn't have the maps for that AO. And it was supposedly Fazzackerly, A107 that was, I think it was A107.
Yes.
And this 100 and some, there were 3 people left. There was Fazzackerly, who had one mountain yard by the scruff of the neck, and a radio operator left. So we dropped in there, and the idea, what happened was, and this is something that it's on I was interviewed, it's on a YouTube thing. There were 2 Aussie warrant officers who were there, and they had been separated, and they were surrounded, and one was wounded, and he said, "Get out, mate, get out, get going." So that told the other guy to leave. The other guy did not leave, and he says, "We're both going to go together." And they heard they heard 2 grenades going off. So it was dark. Anyway, first light next morning, we found these 2 Aussies. I didn't. I was not the first one to find them. Someone like Platoon was or something. And they were both killed. And one of them got the Victoria Cross, which was the first Victoria Cross awarded since Korea.
Well, you know,
That was Dasher Wheatley.
Wheatley, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, Dasher Wheatley.
Yep.
Was that out of Trebong or out of Bataan?
That is at Trebong.
Trebong.
Trebong was an Aussie camp.
Yep.
We had 2 Aussies out of Hatan too that went on a mission. They were killed southwest of Hatan.
Were they really? There was 2 Aussies when they were there. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
While I was there, they had 2 or 3 Aussies living down on a little outpost out of Hatan. And they were always telling us, now, if you Yankees would just listen to us and do it this way, do it that
Oh,
way.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
They're kind of pushy. And they kept getting bumped off. You know, at least we lived to fight another day, you know, but boy, they're losing Aussies left and right.
Well,
I've been looking at a map here for about 10 minutes. Is that supposed to be there, or have I done something and locked something?
No, I put it here. You don't want to see the map. I'll take it away.
I thought I had done something. I didn't.
Nice looking map.
Yeah.
What I was hoping to illustrate was the fact that all these camps in the southern part of I-Corps were basically a circle around Chulai and the other place a little further down.
Long knife. Yeah.
And they were basically everything outside of them ultimately fell. I mean, there's no more Camp Duck, no more Ashau. So that was the defense of the coastal plain. And it also came down to almost you're taking care of a bunch of gas tanks in Chulai, because the Chulai was important because there were big petrol tanks storage units in Chulai, and somebody had to guard them. When it wasn't the Marines, it was the Americal. And when they finally went home, you could see the shift of people that went home first was the storage unit, and then they took the Americal out when they no longer needed the storage there. So
Interesting. Yeah.
And you brought up geolang. If you give me a minute, the business about how they came through there, and it was a transshipment point or whatever you want to call it. Johnson, an intel sergeant, that was there when Gallagher was there.
Right.
Right. Anyways, he and I headed down to Geolang, and we literally got up and we just force marched all the way down there, and we got clear to hell down up on that ridge line that ran down alongside the river.
Right.
And a long story made short, I don't know, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, pitch ass dark. Buxy, wake me up, and we go and look. And if you look to slightly to the southwest, but more to the west, coming down off of that ridge line down to the river was a string of flashlights. And I'm not talking 50 yards apart. They were literally God knows how many. And they were evidently hauling shit down to the river and loading it on sampan or raft or something to keep moving on down the river to wherever it was going next. And we were just barely inside the gun range of the big guns of one of the camps that was to our...
Probably be mid-long. That was one south of us.
Yeah, but it was the big boys.
Yeah, the 175.
Yeah, and we called that in, and they proceeded to blow the living shit out of them. And at that point, we put our packs back on and we left. One hand on the guy in front of you and started back for Ha Thanh. It had taken us, Skip, do you remember this whole deal?
Yeah, I'm getting a little bit of, yeah.
And we started back. We would be crawling across a right paddy between two little ridge lines, and the gunships would be coming over us firing, and we'd be going the other way. I mean, they were on our ass. They wanted revenge. We ended up on a hilltop during one night of that deal, holding a strobe light for Puff or whatever the hell they were called. It was a 46 or 47. The 4 Deuce was in a 105 where we were close enough. They were firing support out of the camp. That was Gaddis running that. It took us about 4 days to get back what it took one long day to get to. But when I got back, there was the 06 from the C team was there. A bunch of others.
Was it the 06 from the C team or was it the B team guy, Stallings?
Yeah.
Turkey.
I thought he was from the C team.
06 was the only bird we had was headquarters.
Would have been the trying, yeah.
Well,
05.
it was the senior officer from someplace, and he was sitting there with McCann.
McKean.
Yeah.
McKean.
Jim McClam.
Yeah.
Jim McClam, and he said something to the effect, can we make him E7? And I didn't have enough time and grade or whatever. They said no, and that was the end of it. Never heard another fucking word about it. But it was the rotary wing guys in the Air Force claimed somewhere's around 114, 117 KIA out of that. Do you remember all of this?
Yeah.
What's the time frame?
You had a message from Colonel Healy, and congratulations for the great operation. I remember that.
Well,
maybe you guys did, but I didn't. But anyway, it was Johnson, and whatever happened to Johnson?
Let me but what was his first name?
Oh, which one?
It's Bob on the table I saw, Robert Johnson.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Robert Johnson.
Okay, my intel sergeant was John Johnson. So yeah, unique name, John Johnson, tall, lanky guy. Yeah.
It was very quiet. It wasn't very demonstrative. He hardly talked to anybody.
Johnson's charter, when he first got out to the camp, he grabbed me and pulled me aside. His charter was to acquire information about the LLDB team, who was very, very much suspect of being corrupt and doing various things. And he developed an asset within the LLDB team, and at some point got them relieved. And I can remember them, the LLDB C team commander coming out with, was it Shackleton or Reeder? Must have been Reeder.
Reeder.
Out and brought the new team out. Essentially, they gave the old LLDB team something like 10 minutes to pack their shit and get on the helicopters and go. And then they replaced the entire team.
Wow.
Remember that one? Yeah, it was, that was something. And of course, it didn't take them long to figure out who the rat was on their own team. And I asked Johnson, I said, hey, what are we going to do about this guy? And he says, what do you mean? And I said, well, he was your asset. And he goes, fuck him. I hate a stool pigeon.
Oh.
Anyway,
That's an intel guy for you.
Hey,
Couple of you guys mentioned the 406 and whether they had them in the small camp like Ha Thanh. The 406 is, you're talking about the mortar.
no, the 82.
Or Deuce. Or
82
Deuce.
Miller. 82.
That's the bad guys is 82. We're 81.
81 mortar. 81,
Yeah,
81,
80
81 millimeter
81
mortars and 60s.
Ford.
And a 4 deuce.
Anyway,
4 deuce.
we had one of them set up in the camp when I was there and depended on it heavily, and had a ammo bunker attached right off the wall of the mortar pit. And what happened when they set that mortar in, they put so much reinforcement in the concrete that when we used that mortar so much, it cracked the I don't know what you would call it, the brace for the mortar out. So we had to get rid of that. Well, me being a demo man, they asked Robbie jump in there and get that break that concrete up with a sledge, you know? That's a lot of daggone work with all that scrap metal in the concrete. So I got my hammer out, and that's what,
Jeff,
and I started to bust the
breaker kicked again. A
enough.
breaker kicked off again. The breaker.
Am I interrupting somebody else?
Sounds
No.
sounds like a typical A team. Yeah.
Yes, so, yeah.
That
So
looked like
anyway,
Gallagher.
I was breaking up the concrete with small charges of C4. And that's what caused me to leave that camp. The captain said, "You're gonna blow us all up," because it was pretty close to where we had the backup ammo. Just
I put that in. My guys put that in 60, early 66, 65, 66.
Oh, you did? Hey, where you at? Who's talking?
Bob Sahusky. I'm up in the upper left of my screen. Yeah.
Major Bob?
Hello.
No, that's Major Bob.
I was a
Well,
captain.
anyway,
Hey, who put in the fuel tank with the immersion heater so we could all get hot showers?
That went in.
Who did that? Yeah,
That was nice. That was nice.
yeah. God bless you, whoever you are.
Hey, here's an,
They put that tank in the day I left, the day before I left. It wasn't heated. That was the first.
I mean, they took out the wing, they took out that big torpedo wing for showers. They put something else in.
There was nothing there when we had nothing for showers. We went down to the creek that if you went out the front gate and made a right, there was a little
Right.
stream there. That was our shower. Our shower was our bath.
Yeah,
point.
because in 67, 68, when I was there, we had we had that torpedo type thing and we filled that full of water all the time. That's how we got our showers.
I guess
Yeah,
that's
that
what
was
it
a wing tank.
Yeah.
So,
I
okay.
think that was a wing tank. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they put a
Heater.
defact heater in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys all remember I think it was a Filipino that was an all around handyman that helped us out and everything. I don't know his name. I think it was a Filipino civilian assigned to the camp.
right.
He really helped us out and everything.
For that tank you're talking about for the shower
That
was
to repair it?
55-gallon drum or something bigger?
No, it was a wing tank off of a jet.
Oh,
Yeah.
They opened, somebody built a real nice platform for it 10, 12 feet in the air. They put a defact immersion heater in it, and that's how we got hot water.
Well, they were digging a well there right in front of that. I don't know how deep they went when they finally gave it up.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They must have worked at it later because we did have a little pump down there to put water up in the top.
But we hadn't hit water yet when I was there.
There was never completed. There was no well in camp.
We got the water with a water buffalo.
Yep,
Yep. 400 gallons.
Yep.
because we would have to test, we would put the calcium hypochlorite or whatever in it and test it and call it potable. And by the time it got up to, got it pulled back up to the camp, it sloshed around and
Yeah.
that's what we used for the showers and cooking and whatnot. And
How much did you build that airstrip up in order to take something better, bigger than a caribou?
It never did.
Yeah.
No.
That's the first time they came out to put down pentaprime over the mud, and that didn't do any good. And then later in 70 is when they came out and brought Louderite out, put pentaprime down, put PSP on. A funny story about that was the Air Force came up and took photos and everything like this, and brought up a team from Saigon, a major and 2 enlisted, and brought this Jeep with all the antenna and everything like this. And they said, this is a special shipment of pentaprime that they're flying in specifically for the airstrip at Ha Thanh. So we all were down there. It was one day, and the C-130s came in, started dropping the pallets of pentaprime out, on this drop zone that they laid out. Only problem was they never adjusted. They had their altimeter set correctly, but they never adjusted for the altitude of the camp. And all the they never fully deployed. The pentaprime was hitting in rice fields, bursting open. I had the district chief down yelling at me. I had a lot of civilians. Then the Seabees were there. They were taking the bulldozers and whatever they could and going through the rice fields to drag what pentaprime they could retrieve out of that. There was a photographer there from Stars and Stripes. And later that week, there was this photograph in Stars and Stripes that showed the pallets coming out of the C-130, got the photograph of the week. Nobody even realized that they were only dropping from 875 feet and the chutes never fully deployed, and they basically wiped out a rice field.
that's when the NBA built their airfield to the west of camp, wasn't it? After they got all that pentaprime?
No, I don't know about that. I mean, they did get it finished, the airstrip finished, but that was, as I understand, that was the second shortest operational runway in I-Corps, about 875 feet.
Oh, it was terrible.
Right, exactly.
Replaced Jung. He told me my vehicle was a 50cc Honda, and I had never ridden a motorcycle before, so I would wait till the airstrip to dry to go down and practice on how to ride that thing. Until about a few months later, the S4 from the Provost team got a hot Jeep. He loaded on a caribou, brought it out, so I had a Jeep for the rest of the time I was there.
Well,
Well,
didn't
same
when the
thing
caribous come in, didn't they have the thrusters on them? So when they took off, they started going up and then they hit the thrusters to get their altitude.
No, the caribous never had thrusters. I was always amazed that they could get off the runway in less than 875 feet. Never had thrusters at all, Ivan.
I thought they did because I was laying on the ground there taking pictures of them taking off and landing. And I thought that's what they were shooting out there at the last to get the altitude.
And I actually still have some home movies somewhere of caribous landing there. I've got about 2.5 hours of 8mm film that
Okay.
If you stood at one end of the runway and a caribou was at the other end of the runway, getting ready to taxi to gain speed to take off. I'm not an Air Force person. Is it called the vertical stabilizer? What the hell is the
tail?
The tail, but there's a name, whatever that vertical.
That's the horizontal stabilizer, that one that goes up.
Oh, those are the those on the back.
Horizontal's this, vertical's that. Anyway,
Yeah,
there was a hump. There was a hump in the middle of the goddamn runway.
Right.
All you could see was a part of the top of that vertical stabilizer, whatever the hell it was. So when they landed, if they landed, they had the hump to contend with also. And when they took off, they had the hump.
Well,
yeah.
So
the Seabees took care of that, but they would at the end of the runway, they put the brakes on and they gunned the engines all the way full throttle, the maximum RPM. So
Right.
the ground.
Our runway was only 875 feet.
Pull the
875.
caribou back after they landed. The runway was so short, like somebody said, 275 feet.
No, it's more.
875 feet was the length.
We always said, depending who
We
we're
had to-
talking to, we always said 900. If you were talking to the pilots, we said it's 900. Until they come in.
We tied ropes on the caribou by hand, have the CIDG help pull it back where back to the other end of the runway so he could take off. That's how small it was. But here's what happened to us one day. This is a sad story. That Lolex, you all know what that is, where they lower the tailgate and little pilot chute pulls a pallet out and kind of shoots along the ground. And that's how we got our mail and food and ammo, and not exactly in that order. Well, they came in one day and they're going to load that, release that Lolex with ammo, food, and mail. Well, the daggone thing got hung up or something, and the caribou had to start. It started climbing. When he did, then it came loose, and the whole shooting caboodle went right into the village of Ha Thanh, and it killed some of the civilians. That ain't good. I don't get good rapport with them. And you know, it hurt us. Our mail was in that Lolex load, and we had sent back, we hadn't heard any radios, music. We didn't have nothing but the little bitty generator for the Commodore. But anyway, mail, that record, when they played the big 33 and a third, were the big records anyway. That was in that thing. That all got busted. We found pieces of that, but that was a bad day for everybody. There's a lot of unusual things that special forces encounter in all the camps. All of you can tell stories like that in your camps, and so that's what I personally appreciate. Just I've enjoyed listening to you all, and I appreciate what you guys in your camps, and what I know what we all go through. So I just wanted to add that.
You know, picking up on that, Steve, when they came from RO, they load, I don't know, there was either in a 123 or 130. Then I wasn't there, but Jim Instep and Ken Logan, Estep, Helms was a CO. They dropped the dozer in a D2.
Oh boy.
Yeah, and they dropped it early.
Wow.
And it hit, and if you, when you went out to camp, you made the right turn into the Ville, right, the village there, and it hit the hairdressers or barbershop, not a hair, barbershop. Killed two of his daughters.
Oh man.
That's your first day in camp. Now you got to win. Now you got to win some hearts and minds.
Yep.
He was a damn good barber too, though, by the way.
Well, you know where the runway is, that OP right to the west of that runway is the one that got overrun. That started that back in July when we were under that attack for all that time.
Really?
We got out that morning and here they were waving at us, and all of a sudden they started lobbing at us. So we called in the Air Force. They'd bomb it, and we looked like we got everything okay. Then shit, they come out and start digging again. That's where we sent the Mike Force up there, but we never did take the hill for quite some time.
Been there, done that. Yeah.
Yeah, we had to parachute everything in off in the caribous. Nobody could land.
Is that right?
I have a question.
Yeah.
What about Hugh Sheldon? I noticed that he was a captain at the camp, and he also was the joint chairman of staff or something like that.
He's chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff in the late 90s. I met Hugh Shelton. He was on the board of the company I worked for that I retired from. It was quite by accident I found out he was the A-team commander, because I met him and I was talking about how I knew he was a Vietnam veteran, and this was after he had retired and he had actually fallen off a stepladder at his house here in northern.
I heard.
Oh,
But he was okay. He was on a board. I asked him, how you feeling and everything like this. And we're standing there, and I said, because I was going to make the comment about I'd want to be if I was going to be on a, if I want to be with the Special Forces. I was attached. I told him, I was attached to an A-team when I was in Vietnam. He says, really? He says, which detachment was I? I went A104. He says, A104. He says, I commanded that. I said, you did? And it was like, then we kind of bonded, and every time we go for a board meeting, I talked to him. He was quite a gentleman, and he did very well as chairman of the Joint Chiefs. And we always would match a couple stories. And he remembered Dai Wee Tan, the district chief, how hard the district chief was to work with. And I told him, I said, well, I got along with him because I convinced him to start giving me some of the weapons he was capturing, so I could trade them for stuff that he needed and that type of thing. But no, Hugh Shelton was, I guess he was on the board of our company for a couple of years, and it shows you what a small world was when I mentioned that was attached to A104.
Yeah, then when he left Gessrig and come in from the 46th, then he took over behind Shelton.
Steve, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got to go, but I wanted to say a few things. When I was there at Ha Thanh in 70, I knew, Jeff Gallagher was there, and I got a photo of him with all the team members the day they were turning over the camp to the Vietnamese. And then Michael Fairley was the medic there. And David, I don't know if you can see it, that's a photo of David when he made first lieutenant. They chained him to a water buffalo and put eggs all over him.
Oh no, and that and gasoline and everything, that was painful.
Yeah, but those are the only people that I kind of recall. And I'm looking through, and Michael has helped me a lot.
I was there at that time, Richard. I don't remember you either. Maybe we missed somewhere along the way, but I was there at the same time as Fairley, Skip Andrews, Gallagher.
Yeah. Morrison was the
CO. That's correct. He had relieved Vandergrift.
Yeah, he was kind of different.
He was.
Yeah. Some people, didn't.
Captain McClam was the CO when I was there.
Well,
Terry Rich was one of the Seabees at the camp. I was telling Terry that Rich was one of the Seabees.
Okay.
Okay,
Rich, were you MCB 8?
Me?
Yeah.
26.
No, I was there in 70 with MCB 62.
Okay.
And we did Trebon. Matter of fact, when Trebon, the sappers got into the camp at Trebon, I was over at the fire support base.
Yeah, they never got hit.
And Garnett was there.
Right.
The medic.
Yeah. The fire support base was secure. It was the district compound and the camp that they hit at Trebon because they figured they never get run over, so they left the gates open.
Well, the fire support base Army guy was killed by his own guy who heard he was running into a bunker, above ground bunker, and somebody shot him. They didn't know who he was.
So.
But anyway, I've enjoyed this, and I was there about I'd say 7 months, and we worked out of Ha Thanh, but we did Trebon, and then we were called up to go to Cam Duck in July of 70 to reopen that airstrip up, and then we went to Bateau and Giavuk to see about what we had to do there, and then I was sent home. We were all sent home, so that didn't get done.
You guys were talking about Hugh Shelton. He wrote a book, Without Hesitation, and I don't have Brent, my son, is on there. He was just telling me about it. I haven't read the book yet. I don't know if anybody else has. He showed it on the screen right now.
Yep.
I read the book.
That's his autobiography, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I read the book. Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
he talks about A104 in there.
Yeah, he lives not far from me. I live in Raleigh, North Carolina. He went to NC State, and it was ROTC. But I called him, his office, and told him about I was at A104, and I knew he was. And I called him like 2 or 3 times, and he wouldn't give me the time of day. So I read his book.
I left a message with the school that he has a leadership thing with, and they were supposed to pass it on to him to tell him about this thing today, but he didn't make it.
Well,
And McElroy was his XO. And McElroy had to go see the dentist, but he was on this morning.
all right. Well, Mike, I'm glad to see you're up and about. And
Good talking to you.
yeah, y'all have a good evening.
Thank you.
You all
Thank
too.
you.
You
Good
too.
comment.
Good seeing you, Richard.
Hey,
All right.
Steve. Steve,
Hey,
I want to introduce my son, Brent. He's never been in the military. He's been following for the last 30 years my whatever I've done as far as my military career. And he has got his own coffee company down in San Antonio now, and he was at SOAR and the SFA conference. And he had some coffee made up, and I want him to show you the pouch that he's made it up in.
It's simple. Our coffee company is 7th Group owned, but this is what I made for you guys.
Oh, nice. Oh, hold it up again.
Hold it up again, please.
Yeah.
Still there. It might cut out because I'm not talking, but
Can't be on the floor.
on the back, when we're finished, the back is going to be the camp from an aerial view, and then the story behind it.
Oh, cool.
That'd be interesting.
Because I think Mike's got some good aerial pictures, and I got some good aerial pictures also that I've shared with Brent.
Yeah, I've got some too. And I've also got the Camp Crest that had illegitimate non-carborundum on it. That's
Well, if you guys have anything like that, send it to Steve or Ivan, and I'll have them send it to me so I can put something together for you guys. I'm going to launch it before, but it'll be ready at SOA and SFA next year.
Hey, this is Sahusky again. Has anybody been back to the? I mean, I was back to the camp, and I went back in February of 2000.
Really?
Yep. Stood on the side. Took my son. You were triggered. Took my son, and took my son, and we got a motorcycle, 2 motorcycles. Rode out the road past OP 66. That was taken overrun in New Year's Eve of 66. But anyway, Mike, my son and I went out. We rode out. I stood on the runway, right on the eastern edge of the runway. And we were not supposed to go up to the camp. They told me not to go up, but I went up there, and I tried to see where you went up and where the team house used to be. I saw that there was nothing there, brush, and then to the left where the used to be the commo. All I know is where the beer refrigerator was. I remember that's where the team tent was. And I remember that very well. And then, but by that time, they come run up, and they came and ran us out of there. The white mice, the guy, the officials, and my driver driving this motorcycle came and got me and said, "We got to go. We must go. We must go." And he told everybody we were Canadians, because it was some kind of I think it was some kind of a re-education camp. It was off limits to us, but it didn't bother me. I mean, so what the hell? I mean, so you could, the only thing I could find that really was real was the airstrip. And that was some pot marks, and it was, but it was.
Can I jump in? Can I jump in real quick?
Yeah.
Add to what you're talking about. When we had the reunion in Las Vegas, there was a commo man that was from Long Island that was a motorcyclist, and he had gone back to Vietnam and motorcycled down like you did. And he said where the camp was basically now Ville, just one street. And out of all of the bunkers and everything else, he found one chunk of concrete that was probably an old bunker. And people were very hesitant to talk to him.
Yep.
They might whisper to him or something like that, but they had pretty much demolished everything. And then when they had the reunion in Fayetteville, he was coming down from Long Island and got hit someplace in, I think, Virginia, and killed. What, and I can't think of his name.
It was Mike Natali.
Yes, Natali.
Yeah.
So there's two people then that had been back there. He was probably after you were there. And at that point, it had been pretty much obliterated.
The only thing I found on the strip, this is on the eastern edge of this, eastern edge towards the Chula, was I found a cargo strap, about 3 or 4 feet of cargo strap. Which I showed that to my son, so it's interesting what you're saying. Everybody there, they're all young. I found one mama san that was probably should have been alive in '66, that time frame. And I asked her, which if she remembered, she didn't remember anything.
How long were the cooks there? How long were the cooks there? Komai and Kolil.
Oh, they were there when I was there.
They were still there when I left, but
I know.
But one of them, the LLDB had over their team house and beat the living hell out of, and I think I always get his name screwed up. I think he went over and confronted the LLDB, but it was quite tense at that point. Gallagher, you still there?
No, they took Daiwi High, got drunk and decided he was going to have his way with Komai.
Okay.
And he took her over to the LLDB side of the compound. I went over and brought her back. And he was not in any shape to perform anything. He was drunk on his ass. So I got no resistance from him or from his XO. And I got her back.
Wasn't it a little tense? Wasn't it a little tense for a few days after that?
Oh, it sure was.
I vaguely remember carrying a sidearm and kind of.
We were all carrying 1911s for a while.
Right. And when they closed the camp, both of them came down to the MacV compound where our cooks down there.
Did they? And when that closed up, do you think they made it, or did they get rounded up?
Don't know.
They were both widows, weren't they?
I don't think so. I don't know.
No.
And the camp boy, I think Camp Boy Nua, I heard he got killed when the North Vietnamese overran the area.
Who?
Nua, he was the camp boy.
Oh, yeah, the young little kid. I thought somebody tried to adopt him.
Nua and Bach.
You tread water, Nua.
Nua and Bach was the other one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Mike, can you hear me?
Yes, I do.
Hey, this is Wayne Kirkland.
Yes, sir. How are you?
Farley.
Yes.
Farley.
Fairly.
You remember Farley? Hey, Mike, this is Wayne Kirkland. I was a weapons guy on 104.
Right, and it's Fairley is the last name. Michael Fairley.
Yeah. You were the medic. You medevaced me out of there. I had a fever of unknown origin.
Well, you lived.
I did.
I had a reputation of being the medevac king of Southern I Corps.
Kenneth, where's your picture, Kenneth?
I don't know. I can't get it. I was on there, but I can't get it on here. I don't know. Hey, it's Clevenger. You still there?
That's me. Yeah.
You remember Kirkland?
I do. That's and I recognize your voice.
Yeah, Wayne Kirkland. Yeah. I was there from. We all got there about the same time. Farley, myself, you. We all got there like in September '69.
Yeah.
I was there. I think either July or August when I first got there.
Yeah, I stayed. I was there until May. I got medevaced. I kept having these fevers, and Farley finally got me medevaced, and I stayed in the hospital for I don't know, about 10 days or so, and then I went on R&R, and then I never came back to the camp. I went to the C team after that and stayed until my tour was up in September.
Well, I've got a picture of you up at the C team standing in front of. I don't know if it was a club door or your.
Yeah, that one's standing out in front there. Yeah, I know. I know exactly which one you're talking about. Yeah.
Okay.
What
Did
happened?
they ever
to
die? I gotta know. Did they ever diagnose what the hell the fever was?
No. Fever of unknown origin. Never got it. I had high fevers for about 10 days. They had me on ice blankets, and they wouldn't give me any medication because they didn't know what was causing it. And finally, after about 10 days, they decided to give me an antibiotic, and then my temperature dropped down to 94.
Good
They
Lord.
thought I was going to die, and they gave me antibiotics for a couple of days, and then it cured it. It cured it, and I was okay. And I went on. Have y'all seen Thomas? There was a commo guy also. Remember black guy Thomas?
Yeah, I remember him.
Yeah. I heard Larry J got killed in a parachute jump.
I don't know. I ran into Larry J in '78. I was assigned to 3rd of the 7th in Panama. And he was the sergeant major of the 37 then, but he was short. He was real short, and then I saw him again almost a year later in Fayetteville. He was working for Harley Davidson as a mechanic.
Oh,
That
is
was
that right?
Larry J. Lyle, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I ran into him the next year. I was in Vietnam until I left in '70, and then I went back to the States and I went to flight school, became a warrant officer, and I went back to Vietnam in '72, flying Cobras. And I landed down at that training camp where we did the jump school down by Cam Bay. And he was the team sergeant down there. I landed my helicopter outside. I went into the camp there, and I ran into him. But then I ran into another guy in SF when I was flying. I became a warrant, and I flew Cobras back in Vietnam on my second tour out of Pleiku. That was in '72.
I went through flight
72,
school
73.
also. I went through
Say
flight
again?
school also, but I
Who
said I went
did?
through flight school also, but
Who am I speaking to? I can't see you.
Clevenger.
Oh,
Terry.
you Clevenger, you went to flight school, did you?
Yeah, but I went at the end of my career. I went and flew for the last 5 years. I went through flight school in like 81, 82 and
Oh,
flew.
well,
two.
I was teaching there then.
Were you?
I was teaching at Rucker, yeah.
Well, I was at Rucker in 81, 82.
I was
and,
teaching the IP course in '81 and '82 at Lowe.
I wouldn't have met you. And also back on your FOUO, when I got back from Vietnam, I had bouts of FOUO for about 5 years. They never could get it. It was just maybe 2 or 3 times a year. And they narrowed it down, and it would mimic malaria, and ask if I'd ever had malaria. Because
that's the same thing when I was in the hospital there. They kept testing me for malaria, and it always came up negative. So they wouldn't give me anything. I just suffered with a fever for like I don't know, probably 10 days. So they finally said, well, we're going to have to give you something. So they gave me just a simple antibiotic, and it did the trick. It knocked it out of me.
Mine lasted 1 or 2 days, and that was about it. And I wouldn't be bothered with it again for 3, 4, 5 months. Then all of a sudden, boom, it would just show up again.
Can I
Hey,
share,
Mike,
can I share
Farley.
something with you all talking about this unusual medical problem?
Yeah.
I do believe, listening to the way it affected y'all, I had the same problem and it was diagnosed as dengue fever, dengue fever.
Yeah.
Dengue fever.
It hurts like a son of a gun. You sit down, you bend over, feels like your brains are going to fall out on the ground. But
Hey,
like you say, it's short-lived. You just got to toughen it out.
Yeah. Hey, Mike, Farley, did you go to the nuclear school like you were talking about when we were there in Vietnam?
Real short story. They pulled me out in a heartbeat, sent me there. I showed up, walked in. The first sergeant says, "What the fuck are you doing here?" Beret, jump boots. I said, "Here's my order, stop." He says, "Boy, they really fucked up. They canceled the cycle because of budget. They're going to run another cycle for 7 or 8 months. What am I going to do with you?" And I basically kind of ran things with him for a while and took an early out and went back to college and used up all my GI Bill. And here I am. You ought to put me in your will. If I hadn't medevaced you, we would have had to send you home in a bag. Just think about that.
I know. Hey, I was thankful you did. You know, I couldn't figure out what was going on. You know,
Well,
we
neither
had that.
could, neither could
was
I.
that?
That's why I got,
I know.
that's why
Who
we
was
got
the
you
kid-
out of there.
Yeah, who was the camp commander then? Who was that camp commander? It was a leg guy. He wasn't even an SF guy. Remember him? Who was that?
I thought that was McCam.
No, not McCam. McCam was our first guy. This guy came in and then
Vanderbilt, Vander something, wasn't it?
No, he was Vandergriff was our second guy. This guy came in. He was a tall, red-headed guy, real tall.
Morrison.
He was Morrison. He was a leg. He wasn't even SF guy. How he ended up on our camp, I don't know. The guy was a real jerk. But anyway,
who was the team captain that liked to wear the Africa Corps?
Oh, that was Vandegrift.
Vandegrift.
Okay, I'm going to speak. This is bad, but that guy was weirder than shit.
Oh, he was. He was. Hey, who was our XO back then when McLean was the? He lived up in the team house. He used to like to shoot at rats on the rafters
That
up there.
was me.
That's Anders.
Was that you? I couldn't remember his name. Oh no, that was you.
That was
Oh
me.
man, that was crazy. That was crazy. Yeah.
Hey, we
Man,
had a
that's cool.
PSYOPs lieutenant there, Jones, and he got in his bunker at nighttime and he'd shoot at rats. He'd hear him, he'd turn his flashlight on, take his 45 and shoot it in that bunker and a zing zing all around, but he never got the rat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had.
Oh, that was crazy.
I
had a bare light. We had a bare light
living
bulb.
quarters above ground. And I
Yeah.
was right next to
Some of this
the
stuff is-
warehouse.
Yeah.
And the warehouse had all of the rice and the rations and all that
Dude,
stuff.
I was in the army with that
attracted the
50 years ago.
rats.
Most of these guys talking here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Were-
Hey man, it's been nice. It's been great talking to you guys. I got to get in touch with some of you guys. Think
And
about
you gotta turn your video on, just down at the bottom of the screen, on the bottom left, in the black area, it says stop video, click on it.
stop video. Okay.
Now you just clicked on the microphone.
I know, but I hit that says your video has stopped. I click on it and now it says
No, you're clicking on the microphone. Click on the
know.
camera down there.
Maybe he's got the, maybe he's
Move
got the
over
screen
one more.
covered.
you got to be smarter than the phone here. So I'm on a phone. I'm on
Oh,
my
you're
cell phone.
you're on a Mac. It's up on the top. You're on an Apple thing. It's backwards.
Now I cut you off. You hear me?
I can hear you, but your
Okay.
controls are different than we've got here.
Yeah, I'm on my phone. I'm picking up my granddaughter from my great granddaughter from dance lesson. So she's gonna say hi.
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 Hey,
Question for you. Anybody there on that May 21st, 1970? Here's
What was
a
that?
note. Anybody was at the camp May 21st, 1970?
Yeah, I was there.
A note in here says, on that day, Ha Thanh was shelled with 23 rounds of 82 millimeter mortar, 2 of which had CS gas in it.
Yeah.
What day was that, Steve?
Says May 21st,
Well, let
1970.
me check my diary. I still have the diary I kept. I'll see what I put in that day. Hang on a second.
It was not that frequent that camps got any CS.
We also had a couple of the, what are the 122 rockets go over us?
Yeah.
Skip, you remember that?
Yeah.
They didn't hit us, but they went right over us.
Well, in August of 68, when we got hit, the team house got hit. Thornton, the medic, he did a VDA after that, and he went out west of the camp, and about behind that little village over there on the west side, he found a sand picture, and it had the tubes there pointing our way. It also had every person in that camp pinpointed, like, here's the radio, here's the medic, here's this, all this stuff like that. And all the names were there. And he got
Wow.
the pictures of that and brought it back. That's where they fired it at to hit the team house.
So
That's valuable. That's impressive.
It is,
Here's
yeah.
what I wrote for the entry on May 21st, 1970. It all started about 000. The CIDG and district began throwing out a lot of fire. I can't read it. So Cumley was in the team house. I checked with him to see if he heard incoming. He said no, but he heard SA fire. So as I was on my way up to the check on it, Fairley came yelling incoming. I told him that I was checking it out. Then I went and woke up Captain Morrison and told him that the CIDG were firing everything. He got up and went over to the LLDB, said the district and OP4 and 10 were under probe. None had hit the camp. Well, it cooled down. Then it began again at 02:45. Fairley called and said he heard 4 impacts. The CIDG started again. On my way to the bunker, I heard SA fire on OP3 and 4. This morning, Captain Morrison found evidence of 23 82 millimeter rounds had landed in line chopper pad 100 meters further south, been down the middle of the camp. 5 rounds were CS. The VC had also fired 3 107 millimeter rockets. 1 hit the hill by the airstrip, 2 overshot the camp. This morning, talked at length about SOP-3 with the Vietnam. This afternoon took a load of that. Then I had to go down to Quang Ngai. So that's my entry for May 21st, 1970.
That's a good entry.
I don't
Very good.
remember talking to you.
Look, I have acquired a collection of mop sums from 5th Group headquarters, and I'm in the process and getting help from other people all around. So if anybody wants to volunteer, I'm going to have people to rekey the mop sums from group. It's fairly interesting stuff. So if anybody wants to volunteer, get in touch with me later and we'll talk about it.
I got a question for Ivan. Can you hear me, Steve?
Yes, I can.
Ivan, are you aware, you mentioned that you were there for the period of late summer, early September of '68 when the NBA overran OP1.
Yes.
There were two photographers there, Errol Flynn's son, Sean Flynn, and
Yes.
Dana Stone,
Right.
who accompanied on one of the efforts to retake the OP and took a bunch of photographs, which were ultimately depicted in a book called Requiem: The Photographers Who Died in Vietnam and Indochina. I don't know if you've ever seen that or not.
I have not seen that, but I know he was there for a few days, and after things calmed down, he and his photographer took off, and I think they made it to Cambodia, and that's where last we heard.
Yeah, they disappeared. Presume they were killed there. But anyway, if you get a chance, it's an interesting depiction of that battle. It's a coffee table sized publication with some color
What's
photos.
the name of it?
It's called Requiem, and it's dedicated to all the photographers who lost their lives covering the Indochina and Vietnam War. And I was looking through it at a bookstore one day. I opened it up. I said, "Well, by God, that's Ha Thanh down there in the background of the photo," and sure as hell it was. Anyway, it's
Let me jump in because she wants to go. Let me introduce my souvenir of the 8th Special Forces Group. 53 years.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Just too lazy to get divorced. But
Great,
anyways,
great.
I was in the 8th before I came to the 5th. And I met Nitsa at Coca-Cola Hospital there in the lab. So long story. Anyways, she was saying, "Well, who's all that?" But there's Paul.
Hi, Nitsa.
Hi, which Paul?
Paul Young.
Right up here.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Yes.
Hi, Lisa.
And you know Ivan Davis, you've met him at a couple of the conventions.
Good ring, yes.
And I think you've met Steve Sherman too.
Oh, okay. Well, that's nice meeting all of you guys. And I hope you do that more often.
Oh, there's Gallagher.
Oh, Gallagher. How are you?
Look,
Good
you
to
guys
see
can-
you, Lisa.
You
Say
can
hello
switch to the
your
speaker
wife.
view on your upper right-hand corner view, and you'll get bigger pictures when you're talking.
What is it now? Okay,
All right,
see.
now I got a full screen. Okay, talk to you later, dear.
Paul, what was the name of that book again?
It's called
Requiem.
Requiem.
Requiem?
Requiem.
Okay.
It's Latin. It's Latin. Requiem, and it's.
Hey, guys, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I'd like to introduce myself. I've been listening to you for the last hour or so. I waited all day. I mean, I couldn't come earlier. My name is Robert Shippen. I was a medic at Camp Duck in the last part of February, March, and the first part of April of '68. I was hoping to recognize some of you guys, but I don't. It's been a pleasure listening to you talk, and I just wanted to say something before we sign off, because I just sort of been sitting here like a cricket on the chimney, listening.
The reason you had a little question here is because we did Camp Duck this morning, and you weren't there. We're doing Hot Town right now.
Yeah, I know. I keep saying, well, wait a minute, 104, that was Thong Duck. I was up at Thong Duck when it was still 104, but it's another story. Anyway, it's been a pleasure listening to you guys. Sorry I couldn't have made the earlier iteration, but just wanted to say hello and
happy you did.
Welcome home.
Thank you.
Actually, one of the things that you got an email from me to invite you to this meeting.
Yes.
On the top of each email, there's a list of people and email addresses for the members of your team. So make sure you don't lose the email you got from me, because all you need to do is forward it to somebody, forward it to all, reply to all, and you can send whatever message you want to everybody on your team that we know about.
Okay.
So it's very useful for you to have that. Plus, if you want to do this yourself, Zoom is free, and you can talk for up to 40 minutes at a time without paying them anything. And you can set up your own Zoom meeting.
Well, when you were talking this morning, was like Captain Henderson or Silva?
There were very few people there this morning. I don't know what happened, but it just was very small. But we had 22 people at the top here in this meeting, and I sent out 47 addresses. So less than half are getting there. On A104, I had about 27, which is a lot less than I have for this group. And we had only about 6.
Right.
And that included 2 different camps, where you had A105 as Camp Duc and A105 as Nong San. And you also had people from a B team that spent 6 months there as well. So there were less people, and the numbers didn't show up. I was a little disappointed. This meeting here, I want to congratulate you all. I think the conversation has been scintillating. I'm really happy with what you've done thus far, and you're welcome to keep it up as long as you want. I've just been playing around here while I'm listening to you, and realized that if I go up to the view and click on speaker view instead of gallery view, where I've had everybody, the speaker gets to be a large picture. And that way you can maybe get a better picture of the individuals who are talking. Because I noticed that Ken had trouble recognizing Michael because all these pictures are really small.
Well, I've made it bigger. Hey, can I ask you a question about, are you going to be here for a couple of seconds? God, I've got chemo brain. The guy's name was right in the tip of my tongue.
Shippen.
Gaddis, the heavy weapons sergeant.
Walters.
Harold
What?
Walters.
Harold
Buddha.
Walters.
No, there was Gaddis, Gaddis.
Hey, Gaddis.
Yeah.
Well,
I remember Gaddis. He was an instructor in Dog Lab in 1967.
No.
That
Gaddis
wasn't
was a heavy
him.
weapons man.
David H. Gaddis died in 2008.
Okay.
he was
In 1931.
He was the top when I was there in, from June to, well, he was top until from June through early September. And then Larry Lyle came in and became top after that.
Okay. Hey, how many of you guys remember Sergeant Major Hodge?
Hey,
Oh, crap.
I do,
Harmon D.
I do for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the one that sent me up to Quezon Long Bay. He says, I'll get rid of your ass, you. I won't see no, you ain't going.
He sent me and two other medics up to the same place, same time.
Oh, we used to call him Preacher Hod.
Yep. Well, he got mad at me. I come in for the field, and the first thing he did is that he looks like this to your hair, and if it's not short, he put me on flag duty the next day.
Oh, my goodness.
Just because I didn't have a
He
haircut.
thought he's gonna get rid
Who
of
was it?
flying
Who
in.
was it that had the eight-track cassette player that played?
Larry. That was Larry J. Lyle, and he only had.
Miles,
two
yeah,
cassettes.
yeah, he played Charlie Pride so much, I hated Charlie Pride.
Well, he only had the two Charlie Pride cassettes. That was it.
You only
He had
had
two of them.
That's
Who was that?
All I remember is that tape going forever, over and over again. In the team.
Oh.
They had it was more than Charlie Pride. It was Charlie Pride. They had
Glenn Campbell.
yeah, and
Mm.
the
Yeah,
Irish
Glenn Campbell.
and
But it was mostly Charlie Pride.
Johnny Cash. Yeah, the opening bars of Charlie Pride was "It's true, it's true."
I never gained an appreciation for Charlie Pride again at the Ken Burns Country Music Series a couple of
Who are
years
you
ago.
talking about?
Larry J. Lyle.
Yeah.
Oh,
Team
It was
sergeant.
Lyles, that's right.
Boy,
Drove
Oh,
me
here,
nuts.
here was the other one. Do you guys remember Buddha?
Yeah.
Walters,
Buddha Walters.
Walters?
Sergeant
What?
Walters.
He went on to do an ROTC thing at a high school or someplace, didn't he?
Udo Walters went on to be working for Ross Perot for a while.
Well, we called him Buddha. He was, if there was anybody that had PTSD, this guy had it. He made me very nervous in regards to, am I out of place in saying that?
No.
He
was
just, he was very, he was really, I don't want, he never blew up when I saw him, but he always struck me. My medical opinion was this guy's got a hair trigger and he's liable to go anytime.
Hey, who mentioned Harmon, was it Dodge? Lodge?
yeah.
What year was that?
67, 68.
He must have come back. Because he was there in early 66, I know that.
I don't know. Well, I saw him. I went back to the 50th at Fort Bragg for the 50th SFA, and I was up on second floor, and he was down on the first floor, and I never get a chance to talk to him, but he had the same haircut and everything else. So
Ramrod straight, yeah. He was priest.
straight.
He was a preacher, yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Hodge was there from December of 65 to 10/66, and then 8/67 to 8/68. So he had two tours as Sergeant Major. Well, yeah, Sergeant Major. He in Da Nang. He started out as a master sergeant in Da Nang in the S3 shop.
Remember, I got something to share with. I want to talk to Michael Farley.
Fairly.
He barely how whatever, but you know who I mean, and I appreciate because if there's anybody in special forces I brag on is our medics, and Michael mentioned dog life. Well, you know what? These years have gone by so far. Nobody has no idea what dog life's all about.
I know.
Yeah.
Been there, done it.
Woof, woof.
I tell you, I think
Shut
we
the
all
dog in the lake.
appreciate these guys. They're the special forces, but I never met a bad medic. And the training that you guys went through back years ago, I kind of loved it. I've been about 55 years for me. But anyway, do they still have something like that to train medics?
No more
Yes.
dog lab.
Well, one thing
There's
about
a- there's a
Hatan,
medical- there's a
Dumas and
medical
Fort were the
training
two medics
staff.
there, and they had some beautiful nurses.
Oh,
Damn good
What?
nurses.
well, they haven't lost everything, have they?
Wow.
Well,
The only time we saw a nurse is, remember the Santa Boo?
The what?
When the caribou outfit out of Pleiku
Yeah.
at Christmas would paint up the
Yeah.
caribou with the red nose and cheeks and stuff, and they flew around to the camps, and they'd bring eggnog and booze and cigars, and they'd haul their girlfriends, the nurses, with them. And that's the only time, other than when Colonel Maggie came to visit us, that we had a round-eyed woman anywhere near the camp.
that's
Nobody
another thing
remembers
I
the
ain't
Santa
heard
Boo?
in a long time, round eye.
We had Martha Ray.
You know what
Yeah.
that means.
Right. Martha Ray came to see us, but at Christmas, this caribou wing would fly this Santa Boo around, and they'd land in the special forces camps that they serviced for cargo and stuff. And they had booze, cigars, and they had these nurses. They were all out of Pleiku. And they came up to camp, and we had a few drinks, and I got pictures of it. We put pictures, there's pictures on the A104 site, I think.
You could always tell. You could always tell when Martha Ray was coming into Da Nang because they would haul off cases of vodka for her because that's all she ever drank.
She got off the chopper. She had a bottle of vodka, and when she left, it was empty.
Yep.
Well, I'll tell you a quick story about Martha Ray. I was there. Well, I don't know if she was there twice, but it might have been in fall of '69. Anyway, I had the radio duty that day, and it was between lunch and 2 o'clock, and everybody was taking a siesta. And I get a call on the radio saying, I'm inbound your location with a Victor India Papa. Meet me at the helipad in 05 mics. I was wearing a white t-shirt, my fatigue pants and flip-flops, and I didn't have time to change into a uniform. So I took the Jeep, went down. I knew I was in trouble when the chopper flew in. It was waxed from stem to stern, and it had doors on it. They flipped the door open, and out jumped Martha Ray in her full bird uniform with a quart of vodka under each arm. She took a look at me and said, "Who the hell are you?" I said, "I'm Lieutenant Jung, ma'am." Give her a salute. She says, "Well, get your ass in that Jeep and get me up to the team house because this vodka ain't going to drink itself." And away we went, and I went back down to the radios, and the rest was history.
Yeah, she was great.
She was.
Here's a picture of the Santa Boo here.
Ah, okay.
I'm amazed that how come I'm the only one that remembers this?
You're not. It's here in the Green Beret magazine.
Right, but I mean, I'm talking about when it came to our camp.
I
Skip,
remember my first Christmas at New Year's at Hatan. We had all talked to all the radio operators from all the camps. And right at midnight, we were going to shoot off a loom rounds to celebrate New Year, but we didn't tell C Team. So we all got together. We on the radio. We passed it all the way up from 101 back down to 108. Then we started shooting off mortars and rockets up there in the sky. And the hell, the SIDS come running out with their weapons, looking around, yelling, screaming, we're getting attacked. Then I get a call on the radio from, I think it was Shungle. Whoever's doing that, knock it off because you didn't get permission, stuff like that. And we were just shooting mortar after mortar in the air. It was fun.
I remember July I was 69 when we landed on the moon. And I'm trying to tell my mountain yards that we got Americans up in the moon, and they just would not believe that story at all. Landed on the moon.
Yeah.
God, how old are we?
I want to know if I want to know if Mike Fairley remembers what happened on New Year's Eve, 1969, going into 70.
Did I get in trouble?
I think almost the whole camp is. I was made procurement officer, had to go into Quang Ngai and bring back a chopper full of prostitutes for New Year's Eve.
Oh, yes. And that turned into quite a scandal, didn't it?
Well, if I don't recall it turning into a scandal. I know I just kind of stayed away from things because it was like, I think I better get, but I was the procurement officer. I just remember the helicopter landing and almost the whole A-team was down on the helicopter pad when these girls got off the helicopter.
The LLTD
I can honestly,
not amused.
but who the hell organized that?
Vandegrift,
That him?
Skip would know.
Vandegrift.
But, you know, I can honestly say I had no physical contact with any of them. And I vaguely remember this deal, but I somehow didn't it get back up the line and somebody got their ass ripped for it?
Well, it may have, but
Is this light on?
I'll tell you, if Sergeant Major Hodge was there, it did.
Hey, now you got.
She wanted me to make you. She didn't want me to give you. She wanted me to give here. You hold it. She wanted me to give you hot dog. So what?
Hey,
Somebody needs to go on mute here. We got.
okay.
That's Kirkland.
Here's the deal.
Can you hear me?
This is.
I've lost everybody.
Talks to.
He's on his phone, his bandwidth is low. That's why he's going in and out.
But, okay, I give him talks to different.
Hey, guys, I've got a picture up that some of you might remember.
That's it.
Can you see that image of that patch?
Yep,
Yeah,
I got one.
Okay.
I brought that back from Thailand with me. I was in Thailand on R&R when my brother was killed. And I took them home to the United States and came back to Vietnam after the 30 days leave and brought them with me.
Yep, still have mine.
Yep.
You also
Thank you.
brought me a set of bronzeware that we still have.
Hey, I got the other set.
Who's that talking about the picture of his brother? Who is that talking, man?
Jeff Gallagher.
Guys, I gotta go. I got sorry, I got an electrical problem of some kind, and I'm gonna have to go take care of it. It was really a pleasure to get to see everybody again. Just good to see you guys. Listen to some of the stories. They're really great stories. Sometimes you can remember some, sometimes you can't. But again, it was great to see everybody that I did know, and great to meet all you guys that I didn't know.
If
So,
this happens again, it's important for you all to remember to be here when it happens. Because while I'm listening to it, I'm going to mention to Vandergrift and a few other people that they were talked about considerably.
Well, here's something you'll all appreciate. Here's the deal. I've given talks to.
Again, guys, I'm sorry I gotta go, but really good to see you. Thank you.
All right, Jeff, see you.
Bye.
And one of my main points in the talks is what we do for entertainment when we're out there in the jungle. And ain't nothing but tripping over latitude lines and all that. But here's the deal. I said, you know what we do? Just like hunters, we sit around and we say, well, we survived that one. And we got through this, and we talk about how we prevented this attack here or there. That's what we do for entertainment. And talk about like things like we're talking about now. It don't go away. We know how. We work hard, we play hard, and
here we go, you know, and we ain't gonna quit. I still wear Make America Great Again all over the place. I ain't quit and won't quit. People say, oh, you wearing that great, you know, you're gonna get hurt. I said, I don't think so. So anyway, something like this is good. It did my heart good. I try to find some special forces guys to talk to where I can unload. I like to talk to winners, and I like to talk to people that got blood and guts. And that's the kind of people I like to hang with. And it's when you're out here in the boonies up there in Montana, you can't find too many people that you can relate with. You guys, you're right on. I'm done.
Hey,
Where are you in Montana, Robbie?
Pardon?
Where in Montana?
Oh, Great Falls. Yeah. And the only reason I'm here, our daughter got worried about because I'm 81 and my wife's 80, and she thinks I'm, you know, I could bite the dust anytime. But a lot of people think that. I've had a lot of chances at me, but I ain't given up yet.
Hey, this is Steve. Steve, this is Bob Sahusky. I just want to say, I got to go off here too, but I want to say thank you very much from the bottom of my heart for taking the time and the effort to do what you're doing and putting this together. I mean,
Yes.
you know, the 12 months I spent in Vietnam were the most important year of my 25 years in active duty. I wouldn't miss it for the world. And in fact, most of the time I enjoyed it. And I enjoyed, I mean, I don't get to talk to any SF people like this ever. So this has been a catharsis for me. So thank you very much, guys. And somehow, some way, shape, or form, we want to try and do this some way again, Steve, if it takes money or something.
You just gotta take charge.
You know, yeah, right. Okay, that's where it falls apart. You know, who's going to step up? Hey, by the way, that address you have for Al Weed doesn't work. I mean, that's the guy I want to get in touch with. And so,
Oh, what?
Al Weed at 104.
Contact me later and I'll get you together.
Yeah. See. Okay. Hey, thanks a million, guys, and thank you, Steve.
John,
Great job.
John, Brett would
Yeah,
like to know
yeah.
if he could have a copy of that, what you held up, so he might put on his coffee pot, his coffee.
Actually, I just picked it up off the internet. All you got to do is look for Special Forces Ha Thanh patch.
Okay, I wasn't sure if somebody actually had
No.
one that I can get a picture of.
No, I don't have an actual one.
Okay.
I've
So,
got a
John,
picture
I
of
think-
somewhere in one of my slides. I've got a photograph of it.
Okay, send
wanna
it to Steve or Ivan if you don't mind.
I have to go. I have to pull them out and digitize some of them, send them on over to Steve.
I
If
appreciate
you,
that.
I think that I gave Jean-Luc a picture of it, and it's on the A104 Jean-Luc webpage, A104, A103.
Okay,
I think it's on there.
I'll check it out
Okay.
then.
If it isn't, Ivan, you've got my email.
10-4.
You can just let me
Okay.
know and I'll go. I need to do a bird walk real quick.
Okay. Well, Brett's going to have that coffee thing made up for the 104 that he showed earlier. So if you have anything else that's associated with 104 that he might be able to put on his coffee logo, let him know, or let Steve know, or let me know, and he's going to get it
Just
out.
anything you guys are comfortable with. I mean, this coffee is for you. So whatever you're comfortable with, send it to me. I'll send a final copy to Steve and he can disperse it out to everybody.
In regards to the front of the bag, is that the origin of the coffee, or what? You have a
Yeah, so my coffee farm is owned by a 7th group buddy of mine that he owns the farm in El Salvador.
okay.
So
So
that's
that,
why it says El Salvador on it.
well, because somebody glanced at that and think that was A104 El Salvador.
Yeah.
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 Good
That's
point.
what I
Right.
thought when I first saw it.
Me too. Me too.
Okay, then I'll actually mock up a new front label and send it to Steve again for you guys to all approve.
And then if you guys want to order coffee, he's got a website but he put on a show at SOAR and SFA this last year, and he'll be there again next year.
Okay. Two things. Clevenger, is Clevenger still online? Clevenger?
I think he dropped off.
Okay, never mind then. And then the second thing, they canceled the hotel that got sold at Colorado Springs.
Right.
Has anyone heard if
They have got a
found
new
second
hotel
site?
that they'll send it out very shortly with the new information on it.
They've got the Antler Hotel in Colorado Springs locked in, and admin will be sending out within a week the confirmation code that when you call to place your order, you'll give them the code.
What's the name of the hotel?
It's the Antler.
Antler?
Antler. Yeah, just like that. I got notified yesterday from admin on that because I questioned the same.
Outstanding. And do they have the dates changed or are they still the same?
They said it was supposed to be the same time, and I thought it was the 17th to the 24th of September, but I just guess, I don't know.
As of now, the dates are the same.
Okay. Thank
Hey,
you.
Brent would like to know if you can go around and introduce just tell him where you're from.
No, I just want to know, just really quick, yell out where you're from. I'm gonna send each and every one of you guys some coffee.
But you gotta have a
I'll
grinder.
start. I
Bob Hutt.
in Annapolis, Maryland.
All right, good.
Chip Anders, Mesa, Arizona.
Phil Jacks, Ontario, Oregon.
Paul Jung, Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Green Louie.
Yo, Blackjack. Hey, buddy.
You guys have got quite the story you should have shared. Michael Fairley, Papillion, Nebraska.
John
Dickey, Kansas Pass, Texas.
Close to
Robert
me.
Ship in Corralitos, California.
Am I on?
Stafford Landry, Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Robbie Robinson, Great
Great
Falls,
Falls.
Montana. I'm also, you can look me up on your smartphone 24/7. I'm in the Montana archives. And all you gotta do is say Vietnam Voices Robbie Robinson. I'll pop right up there. And I stayed away from the blood and guts. When they asked me to do the interview, I said, oh, because I was a Green Beret, you want to hear blood and guts. I says, people get enough of that. I said, I'm going to talk about people like you guys that are together at the present. It takes all of us working together to make this a great country. And so and my phone number is 406-248-3123.
Say that again. Say that number again.
The phone number is 406-248-3123. And you ever get up this way, you got a place, we got a bed up there, it got your name on.
That's
Got
406-248.
3123.
3133. Okay.
3123.
3123.
Hey, you guys keep hanging in there, tear them up, beat them up. Here we go.
John Landry.
Hey,
When were you at Ha Thanh?
6869.
Hi, John.
Yeah, with that
Oh,
guy.
Ricky.
I remember both of you guys.
I remember you, John. You were a good medic.
I took
Hey,
you on your last combat operation, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, those were the days.
Good
You
old
know,
days.
somebody said that was the best time in their career That was the best time in my life.
Roger that.
It was good.
Leo, you were about to say something.
Who?
Leo Ornstein.
He's gone.
He's gone. He's awful quiet.
Brett, did you get all the names?
Yeah, I have pictures.
Oh, sorry, I'm on mute. Yes, we're good. I appreciate y'all.
But you got to have a coffee grinder because they're whole beans.
Problem.
Send a coffee grinder with it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Steve, did you make contact with Harold Hunter, who was the CO at Ha Thanh in '69?
If you look on the website there, you'll see the status of everybody.
Okay, I didn't do that, so never mind.
I did make contact with him, and I had his email. I sent him an email. You know, as I said, I had 47 names that I sent emails out to. Hunter was one. Vandergrift was another. So a lot of people, but you know, between doctor's visits and other things, it's not all that surprising that I don't get 100% turnout. I don't even get 50%.
Life gets busy and in the way, you bet.
Yeah.
Well, you know, most people on here are radio operators and medics.
Well, those are the ones that survived. Actually, you have a substantial number of XOs and capo officers on here right now.
Yeah, I know that. I didn't forget them.
You know, and there are different groups of people I noticed. Of course, you know, Australians and intel sergeants and team sergeants were older than most of us, and they're gone.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you're right.
Most of them are gone. The Australians in general, again, we may not notice it, but they were older than SF people there, and they've gone as the NCOs have gone. Yeah, it's not. Some people are a little hard to find. You guys have been jumping around. Most of you guys, I had my phone book already or my computer already, but you went out and got cell phones and dumped a landline, changed your emails. It got hard to go. It took me a while to find you. You know, I went through my OCS class, which is probably a more stable bunch of people than this outfit, but I was able to find out of 150 people, I was able to find over 75 people in 10 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
It takes me at least a full week to go through one A team, and I'm not really done yet in finding all the people. Now, the other thing is if you want to find somebody and his status is not deceased and you really want to find them, talk to me. I forget who was asking for somebody. I think it was Thomas. They were asking for somebody named Thomas.
Yes.
Who was that?
Thomas was the commo operator.
Who was asking for him?
It was Clevenger or somebody or Kirkland.
Anyway, as far as I know, he is not deceased, and he lives in St. Gabriel, Louisiana.
Well, guess what? That's about 10 miles from John Landry.
Well, that's what I was about to say. The network that we have is within Special Forces. I can probably find somebody within 10 miles or anybody here. So, you know, if you want to do things, at my OCS class, I had a guy who lives in a place called Landrift, New Hampshire. I'd never heard of. And he wouldn't answer his phone. He didn't answer his phone. I called up an SF guy who lives in Landrift, New Hampshire. Never heard of Landrift. There's two people. So I said, can you go to this guy can you go to this street? You know where this street is? Oh yeah, I know very well. Can you go there and talk to him, get him a call? You say, sure. What's his name? What's the number of the street? Give him the name and number. Says he has dementia and his wife Carol is taking care of. He didn't go there yet. He do it right away. So yeah, we've got the network here that we can do anything we want. You guys have to keep your health up so you stick around a little bit longer. That's the biggest problem we've got. But it's out there. I gave up on your NCOs over there. Their names are Cisneros and Clark, just too common to try to track. I'm talking to Dave over here. The names were too common to try to track them down outside of SF. Everybody else, you shouldn't be surprised to know that if you were in SF, I got your social security number because you got your Vietnamese jump wings, your CIB orders, your awards, and it's all there. The Army tried to give me some shit, or did give me some shit some years ago. I wanted to get a file that I had discovered in the Department of Defense that had 600,000 award orders in image files. And I said, I will pay to have this tape copied to another tape, whatever it costs. And then the lady who had it said, well, I don't see any problem with that, but I better ask. I should have known better than letting her do that. Let's not talk about it at all. I sent somebody over in the middle of the night to get it because it went into court and I lost in the appeals court because of Social Security numbers. They wanted me to pay them $1 million to take Social Security numbers off of an image file. You know, text file, that's not a problem with an image file. So I tried to point out to them that 1974, for $6.25, they sold a book with 50,000 regular Army officers' birthdays, Social Security numbers, and source of commission, including Colin Powell, Hugh Shelton, and everybody else who's anybody. And you know, when we went on R&R, we had orders with 10 other guys, 9 other guys' names on those orders. We passed out to every whorehouse in Southeast Asia. So,
Steve, quick question. In your website with all the teams you've gathered data on, approximately how many SF personnel have you got listed?
I have from Vietnam probably about 25,000 people.
Oh,
okay.
Wow.
There are very few people whose names are not in my database. There are people who are not necessarily the right team in my database because I've got a set of CIB orders that says he was assigned to C1, but he doesn't tell me where he was assigned, or I don't know what his MOS was, and I couldn't do anything about that. And in this process I'm doing now, I've incorporated into the teams people who are mentioned by other team members. For example, the Deutschs over here from MACV, and there's the CBs for your team because you knew them. You told me, hey, we also had this guy around here. So I got hold of Paul. Paul gave me the genealogy of his office. Dave is here. The third guy I didn't get hold of, or I did get hold of, and the 2 NCOs I didn't get hold of. So, but all those names are in the database on the website. So you know, that's the story.
Well, you know,
28,000.
go ahead.
I applaud your efforts.
I do too. Thank you,
It's-
Steve.
Thumbs up.
You need to be.
Where in the world would you get the kind of conversation that we've had this afternoon?
Nowhere.
It really was tremendous.
wouldn't happen, yeah.
It's recorded. I'll post it to the website. and I will make Vandergrift listen to every minute of it.
Oh, wait a minute. no.
Especially the
No,
part
no,
about New Year's
no,
Eve.
we made, God, don't do that to me.
Well, you know, we talked about the Australians. We have a guy that comes to the SFA conference every year from Australia, Barry Rust. I don't know if you know him, but we send out invitations all the time, and except for the COVID, he's been here to every one of them.
And his wife says yesterday or the day before, she made a comment, an email that if everything's right, he'll be in Colorado Springs.
Good.
But he helped me check out people here for this thing. Cullen Judd was one of the Australians on the team. He told me that he's deceased 2 years ago. He tracked down a change of address for Stephen Craig. Craig emailed me back, said that he just wouldn't be able to make it to the meeting. I scheduled you guys as the second event today because I thought when I scheduled it, Stephen Craig could get up in the morning in Australia and be relatively coherent at that time. But unfortunately, he didn't get to come. Zumitz is in Vietnam. I thought he was going to be here, but something's wrong with his email. So it kept I found out it bounced. I found out too late that it bounced. He called me from Phu Quoc Island a couple days ago. So, he's there. It's really good. I just wish others would have come along, but on the other hand, you guys were just the right size for this screen. 20
Steve, I got a quick question for you, Paul here. Would you have, speaking of adoptees to the SF itinerary here, would you have any interest in having a FAC, a forward air controller who Phil Jackson and I located, who saved our bacon one day?
Who was that?
Jim Holberg is his name. He flew out of Quang Ngai. I'm sure he'd be happy.
Jake 47.
Jake 47. I'm sure.
Didn't he go back to be an instructor at
how do you spell the name?
He did, yeah, for a while. Then he joined the FBI.
Okay.
Where he retired. Hoberg, Jim was his first name.
Yeah, we got to fly with him. He'd land at camp there and take us up.
Oh, did he? Okay, yeah.
He's welcome to put his name into my database. I have a lot of facts in here.
Okay.
I also have had a long-standing relationship with the Helicopter Pilots Association.
All right.
And not only do I have some of the pilots who flew for us, but we had a hell of a lot of people for the number of people we had who became pilots. You guys who are medics, quite professional in your job of being medics, decided you didn't want to walk in the bush anymore, so you went out and became helicopter pilots. You had a couple of them here. Right? But I was surprised when I went through this, how I was able to get people's addresses out of the Helicopter Pilots Association for SF ground pounders.
Yeah.
So,
interesting.
I gotta go. Thanks for Steve for everything.
Phil, good seeing you again.
Good seeing all you guys.
Steve, I got to go too. Thank you.
Take care, Phil.
Hey, Bob.
Good.
Hey,
See you later,
Blackjack.
Bob.
Take care.
Hey, guys, take care. Bye.
Bye.
Hey, Mike, don't lay that sweatshirt down. I like that one.
You like that? It helps to keep me warm. And I quick question. Skip, did you say you had COVID or you're just getting over it?
I've got it now.
Well,
I'm not wearing a mask, even though you're face to face with me.
I think you can say we're a little bit more than 6 feet apart.
Yeah.
Okay, social distancing.
You didn't get it, did you, Mike?
oh yeah, I had the December 19th, in 12 hours, I was in the ER with septic shock. I had a massive infection. My immune system is extremely depressed. Anyways, ICU, hospitalized, rehab, go home 7 days later, back in the hospital with COVID. But I'd had my 3, and so luckily, I only spent about 5 or 6 days in the hospital. I'm finally getting rid of the residual cough and stuff, but because of the cancer business and whatnot, immune system, they put people like us on a 21-day quarantine. And yesterday was my 21st or 22nd day. So it takes a while to get over. And you got to remember, we're all closer to 80 than we are 70. So
Well, I got it when we got back from Las Vegas in October, November. I was in the hospital twice, but it takes a couple months just to get out of your system to get any strength, any energy, everything.
exactly. And now I saw my oncologist yesterday. She's sending me off for the 4th immunization, and I'll go get it. I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I think having the first 3 helped to diminish the effects of what I had. And I've come close too many times. I got nobody that'll call in a medevac for me. Speaking of which, Thomas, the Camo man, the African American,
Yeah.
he was out on patrol and stepped on a punji stake.
Ooh.
And they came to me real quick and said, "You got to go out and replace him." And I grabbed my bag and stuff and took off, got out there, and I put him on the bird. When I got back to camp, I got my ass chewed out because I hadn't tagged him. It was one of those, like, you gave me 2 minutes to get to the helicopter. So I remember that, and I wondered where he had finally ended up. And so he's down in Louisiana, close to you. If it's the same guy.
I'm pretty sure it's the same guy.
It was him, he and Craig. Craig was his junior commo man. Thomas was the higher ranking one.
Ed Gleason moved back down to Louisiana also.
That's maybe why I don't have him.
Yeah, I had his registration for SOAR, and I see where he moved back to Louisiana.
Tell him why he moved back to Louisiana.
Tax went through okay.
He was married, and so he wanted to go back he'd like to go down there, and she said no, but he had a rescue dog, and that was kind of what he was into. And his wife said, "I'm not going if you're going to keep that dog." So she's still in Missouri, and he's in Louisiana.
Good man.
I looked at him in Vegas and I said, "You're not serious." And he goes, "I'm absolutely serious."
A happy dog too, I bet.
Yeah.
Oh, that was the other thing. Buddha used to sit in a team house, and I think he would be drinking like the rest of us. And remember, he had a pistol, and he'd be always be pointing at that puppy and stuff, always threatening it because he didn't like it, I guess. And I wonder if that's the dog that got eaten by the yards.
That was Diablo.
Yeah,
He was not.
Yeah.
Well, I had a dog with me all the time because he would, Thornton and I we come out of the commo bunker, and then Thornton was manning the 50 over here looking at the east side of the camp. And we had a dog set between us, and every time his ears perked up, we'd head for the bunkers because that'd be incoming. Yeah.
Paul, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
That dinner we went to with the rice wine, there was dog served at that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, there was dog and there was water buffalo. And
We had We had a full smorgasbord of goodies.
Yeah, well, they gave us all the best. They gave us all the best stuff. We got water buffalo balls and small white dog.
Yeah.
Young puppy and rice.
Well, in early May or something like that, we had a C7 come in. He was making rounds to different camps, but he couldn't get the men along. So he come back to Ha Thanh, he landed, he dropped off a pallet of Spam. There's 24 cases per case, and there's 80 cases per pallet. So we had Spam for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and our cooks they do wonders with Spam.
We had, remember for lunch, we seemed like we went for months eating dehydrated chicken noodle soup, and somebody had taught Komai and Kolil how to make bread, and it would be fresh bread, and it would be, and we had, somebody had scrounged bologna.
Yeah.
And we had bologna sandwiches, chicken noodle soup, and white bread.
Yeah, I recall one time, Mike, that we couldn't get helicopters in for like 2 weeks. We had bologna and rice every possible way you could prepare it.
Same thing with Spam.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, were the pictures on the wall still left there?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we'd have a meeting once a month when the Playboy would come in. We'd have to hold her up and see who would come off and who would go on. And Sozniak, he was the team sergeant there. He never wore a t-shirt in camp. He always had his carrying a beer around, and he had got that picture of him standing in front of those girls drinking a beer. That was right before he got killed.
I still remember every Sunday morning, the barber would come up from the village into the team house below where the wing tank was with the hot water, with the immersion heater. And you could get a haircut and a shave for 50 cents in that warehouse, which I think was right next to the dispensary. There were two long buildings.
It was in the shower room.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And there was a big cement tub that was full of water. But that guy was great with a straight razor and really gave good haircuts. It was 50 cents. The other thing is, Garnett and I used to, and Paul, maybe you had the problem because I inherited the bunker you were in. But it used to be about once a month, there would be the cockroaches would come out. And finally, what we did, we got these, whatever the insecticide was, and we told the mama sons who would come in and clean the bunker, stay away. Garnett and I would spray that in the morning and just leave it, turn the fan off and leave it, and then come in with our gas mask on and sweep up the dead cockroaches. And it was good for about a month. Then we'd have to do it again.
But we had the plague there. We had so many rats like you guys were talking about, but we had to they got a crew come in from Da Nang, I think, and fumigated the whole camp.
See, I had two crews. I had the shit burning crew that were, I think they were mostly guys that had been wounded and stuff. And then I had the rat catching crew. Because that's what I had to take camp sanitation, and these guys they were missing arms, legs, and stuff. They did a hell of a good job. We baited rats all over that camp, pretty much kept the population down. And my shit burners were good stirrers.
Well, we had the chicken wire in there protecting all the rice, and it would overlap like that, and the mice and rats would try to call in between. And we'd open the door and turn the light on and shoot them with pellet guns.
Steve Sherman.
Yes.
There was, my bunker mate was named Vargas, Vargas. He was a demo. He was a senior
Vargas,
demo sergeant.
Yeah.
What did he say?
He is not answering his phone in San Antonio.
He was
He's still alive.
Michael, he was,
As far as I know.
Michael, he was my bunker mate as well before yours. At that time, they were just putting the concrete on top of the bunkers. And he had, he'd written in his name and my name as you walked into the bunker. I thought that it'd be fun to go back and try to find that bunker, but it sounds like that would be a wasted effort.
Yeah, according to, whatever his name was, the camo guy that got killed on a motorbike, they had basically torn everything out. All he found was one chunk of concrete.
Maybe that was the one that has your name on it.
Maybe.
I have to hand it to Jung, because when I inherited his bunker, it was painted nicely with the plywood from all the pallets.
Really?
Oh, I missed that. What was that all about?
Well, the bunker was paneled. You had taken all the plywood from the pallets and paneled it. It was great, and I appreciated that.
Yeah, no, you gotta make do with what you got. There was that little corner desk I had built in there too, as I recall.
Yeah, that was great. I wrote a lot of letters on that desk.
Was
What-
Juan Medina there with you guys were there?
Who?
Juan
Medina.
Little
Yeah,
Joe?
Medina was there when I was there.
And he was there when I was there as well.
Okay.
Good guy.
Also have a note here from Larry Pound. He says, I wanted to participate in this and he learned how to Zoom, but he's spending the day, unfortunately, with the VA. Regards to everybody. And that's.
There you go.
All right,
Larry is
thank
in
you.
very bad health.
Well, gang, it's time for me to go also, and really enjoyed this. Hope we do it again.
John, if you want to check up on this guy, call me. I'll give you the address.
Hey, you got it. I'll get back with you.
Very good.
Have a good one, guys.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, Larry's in bad health. He got wounded there in '68, and I met him at our breakfast or luncheon every month up in Portland, and he's just slowly going downhill.
We all are.
Yeah.
Slowly.
a little bit
Gentlemen,
fast.
I'm going to hop off. It has been a pleasure, Steve Sherman. Thank you for arranging this. Jung, I'm going to get your email. I've got to catch up. I'm still in touch with some of the people we kicked around with.
All right, good.
David?
I'll look forward to it, David.
All right. And Steve, I'll dig through my 800 odd slides and see what I can find and see if I digitize them and send them to you.
Okay. Also, if I don't send you an email in the next 24 hours, I've got an email response from my friend about
Johnson? Yeah.
sailing.
Yeah, if he needs crew, I'm available.
No, his boat's here, but he tells you where he cruised.
Okay, I'll check that out. And Brent, if you're on the email list, I'll get in touch with you too.
I appreciate that.
All right. Good night, gentlemen. Great seeing you all. Stay healthy, please.
Take care.
Thank you.
Hey, Mike.
Yes.
Yeah, it's Steve Moore. And do you remember when Joe Vargas jumped into the to the camp without his helmet? And you hit his chute in the dispensary.
We were having some kind of visit from headquarters about
That's
that
right. The
time.
new group commander was coming in. Was he the leg? The leg.
Members? Nah,
Lemrez. What was that, July of '69? August of '69?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Yeah, that would be the leg.
Yeah.
And he was around. He was coming around, meet and greeting in the camps. And Vargas had been marooned in Da Nang and had run out of money, and so he convinced somebody in the Air Force to let him drop in, and he didn't have a helmet, and they dropped him. And there's a picture of him, shooted up in one of the SF books. But he jumped in and his chute landed on the wire, I think, and Mike or somebody else in the team dragged his chute out and hid him and the chute in the dispensary so that this new guy wouldn't find out about it.
Well, that's where our bunker was. You walked into the dispensary, you turned left and walked to the end of it, and there was our Vargas's and my bunker, and then you walked out the other way, and it was the trench line. Now, I have pictures of you down in the Ville. We were down at a Buddhist temple or something, and I think they're on. Have have you ever seen the webpage that Jean-Luc put together?
Yes.
Right.
I think they're on there.
Oh,
If they aren't,
okay.
if they aren't, let me know, and I will somehow try and resurrect them and get them to you. But at one
Okay.
point, I had your email, and then it went south.
Okay, well, something's
Yeah.
gone wrong here. Oh, there's the website. Okay,
Yeah.
There's
I
Natali.
got you.
No, this is Natali. This is the guy that went back, and I think this is his pic. Yeah, it is. It's
Yeah.
his pictures of where the camp was.
Right.
See,
He's the one that got
there's
killed.
there's the main street of the Ville that was there now.
Is it?
And that may be where my cursor is. That may be the concrete that he was talking about that he found.
Oh,
He
there's
said-
my name right there.
Well, you go down in history. Yeah,
oh,
there.
maybe not.
There it is.
Okay, that was the question I was going to ask, and everybody left. Where the hell did those 105? We had two 105 howitzers.
Right.
Where did they come from? Because they were not special forces camps. Were not supposed to have those.
We had two of
up to Fort Deuce, and that was it.
We had two of them there when I was there in 67.
Somebody got them someplace.
Yeah.
Weren't they Arvin
Yeah,
artillery?
Arvin gun
No.
crew, yeah. They were Arvin, two Arvin.
They were Arvin artillery, yeah.
Well,
Bateau's
because
the only
Gaddis,
Bateau's the only one that had its own 105.
Okay.
because Gaddis was the one that would do the plotting and all that. We were always, if you called in the Fort Deuce or the 105 for support when you were out in the field, it was always a bit, where's it gonna hit?
Didn't we have the recoilless rifle there also?
Yeah.
Oh, that's another story.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'd fight, we'd go on patrol, we'd come back and we'd grab our mail and set it in the outhouse there. And they always fired that son of a gun off and the cover of the outhouse would fall over. Then we'd sit there reading the mail and we have to get up and stand it back on again because it wasn't bolted down.
Okay. Somebody in my feeble brain here, they redid the revetment, the gun emplacement for the 105, 104 recoilless.
105. Yes.
105. Okay, and what they did was they made a mistake. Instead of leaving the back open for the back blast, they, anybody remember this?
Yeah, yeah.
And who was it that was gonna go over, went up there and fired it off and it blew off his uniform?
That was, I believe that was Clark, the Dioc NCO.
Okay, blew his shit all off of him. Lucky he didn't get seriously hurt.
Melvin Clark.
Yeah.
Now, for some reason, I have it in my head that Melvin Clark ended up in Kansas City as a police officer.
That was Brumfield. Lieutenant Brumfield.
Okay, my mistake.
Yeah, Brumfield had been a cop at Kansas City prior to coming on active duty. And then when he came on active duty, then he went to the Special Forces Officers Course and all that stuff. When he came to us, he had been, he'd been in McVesaug. And McVesaug released him for whatever reason. And the 5th group ended up assigning him. He was supposed to be my replacement as the XO. And I'm trying to remember why the heck it didn't work out that well. Oh, he did not want to take responsibility for the CIDG funds, which is the way we paid the troops. So trying to get him to go in, I tried to get him to go in with me into the C team so we could transfer the responsibility. and he was not having any of that shit. So he ended up, they ended up forcing it by moving me, and then he had to come in and do that. But Brumfield, once he left Vietnam, went back, he reverted back to his National Guard type status and ended up as a cop in Kansas City.
Well, for some
Well,
reason,
he-
I had Clark in my head as doing that, but
Well, Brumfield is in Colombia, according to his brother, the country of Colombia.
oh, really?
Yeah, and his brother did not get back to me yet with an email address on him. Clark was last seen in Everett, Washington.
Looking for Bigfoot.
Well, if you're retired, you got to have something to do, I guess.
Huh.
Did anybody follow the career of Jim McCallum then, who took over for Harold Hunter when he left in the end of August of
He was
69?
in Ivory Coast. He participated in Ivory Coast. The Sante raid.
He was in the
on
Sante.
Ivory Coast.
The Sante raid, yeah.
And
He got a Silver Star for that deal, as I recall.
right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, he was on one of the assault teams.
Yep.
And he is still in Austin, Texas. So I'm not sure why he's not here.
Yeah. I talked to him not too long ago, and he had someone had snapped up his email address and was sending it out looking for funds to get out of jail. He wasn't happy about it.
Huh.
Hey, Steve,